Attention all drivers, this is your 15-minute warning to get out onto track, set up into grid for your qualifying. I repeat, all drivers, this is your 15-minute warning to get to the grid for your qualifying laps.
Spectators, make sure you grab that snack from the grease trucks, grab a drink from Sneaky Pete's, and get ready to watch some qualifying.
For those of you joining us here today, welcome to Raceway Park. This is the day 2 of the doubleheader weekend here for the Gambler. If you guys are joining us on YouTube or Facebook, welcome to the stream, and we will get started here at beautiful New Jersey's Raceway Park momentarily. We have our drivers qualifying for day 2 of the doubleheader weekend here, and we're going to have them battling it out later today. Our track workers were hard at work during this break between our practice session to get the track relined here. As you can see on the stream, Raceway Park, Englishtown, New Jersey, the bank wall, outer zone 6 of this long road course here. One of the 2 tracks that was being utilized through the Gambler Series throughout the entire season. If you're joining us on the live stream, you get a beautiful look at the motocross paddock, and you can see the motocross track going on in the background right behind the road course here. Those guys had a motocross race early this morning. Those guys are buzzing bees, all making a whole bunch of noise, but we're about to get our boys started in the party here on the drift tracks momentarily. So hang tight, and we'll get right back to the action here at Raceway Park, the Gambler. Thank you guys for joining us on the live stream, both at Facebook and YouTube at beautiful Raceway Park. Also, thank you for our fans and spectators and crew hanging out with us today in the bleachers, watching it go down. You can see here the final battle from yesterday, day one of the doubleheader weekend here at Raceway Park, the Gambler. Trevor Root and Tyler Foley. These guys were throwing down all day long in these V8-powered E36s, and these guys were smooth as butter going in, giving these guys a little bit of room to play, and this was only day one. Now these guys have been dialed in. They took a minimal amount of practice today, maybe conserving a little bit of tires, but these guys, I think, are dialed in and ready to show a little more aggression going into day two. You can see Trevor Root really high on the wall and Foley doing a great job following him. On the other side of the screen, you can see Foley just doing an amazing job, putting on a clinic, filling in the outside zones the way he needed to be, giving Root almost so much real estate he didn't know what to do with it yet. Root going in through that front over clip starts to show that aggression here as both drivers start to surge into outside four, and you really see Foley, a little bobble going into four, but gets right back into position very quickly, a very confident lead driver, and Root's using it to his advantage. Foley, a little bit of waivers into that final chase position in that final battle, which unfortunately gave Trevor Root the win yesterday. But Foley standing at number 2 in the box was a good event for both of these drivers. We're looking forward to seeing them battle it out again today.
But before we get into the top 8 competition, we have to have everybody qualify. Each driver will take 2 qualifying laps. Their best score will be their final score, and then we'll order them up into that top 8 bracket.
As you can see here from our guys driving the live stream here, Monster Drone Co. G's over there making it all happen. You can see beautiful Raceway Park, a view into the entry there, those 1, 2, 3 cones. That last cone is going to be that last initiation point, but we haven't seen a driver even initiate anywhere close to that all weekend. Those guys have been initiating back with the yellow barrels for sport, diving deep into outside zone number 1. You can see on the other side of the track, adjacent to those tires, you can see that cone standing at the front of outside zone number 1. That zone 1 goes all the way up the hill and curls and back into outside zone 2, where you start diving back down the hill and start clicking away at all the outside zones here. We only have one front inside clip, and that's going to be that little manji area coming out of outside 3 into outside 4, where our drivers are going to use that trajectory to try to slingshot their car into a right pattern into outside 4 so they can fill that zone in its entirety and set themselves up into the hairpin with confidence and ease and finish off their laps strong through the bank. As always, a giant thank you to our event sponsors, giving the roll call here on the screen adjacent to the beautiful Raceway Park road course. A big shout out to these guys helping make the Gambler Series happen. These guys have been supporting the driver all series long, so make sure you guys wander through their social channels through this little break, show them a little bit of love, and let them know that Raceway Park, the Gambler, sent you through. All right, and the sounds, sweet sounds of V8s and JZs purring through the pits means that our drivers are working their way out to grid to start their qualifying laps here for day 2 of the doubleheader weekend at Raceway Park, the Gambler.
This is the first Gambler round, Mike, that we have our judges split up into line, angle, and style to give our drivers a score out of 30 or 35, depending on the category. So this is a nice new way to run qualifying. I personally love it. We have our style judge here, Reese. Reese, do you want to give us a little insight on what you're looking for out of these drivers today?
Definitely we're looking for fluidity out there, definitely on throttle commitment, making sure that obviously we can have the impact when they're going out there. Pretty much the wow factor. What is it? Is it not as loud? Sorry.
Sorry, bud. I scream into mine.
Yeah, definitely the wow factor. Definitely making sure that we have throttle commitment, fluidity going through the entire track. At least me, for being the style judge, it's nice. It's nice to kind of just sit back and focus on one thing. So I'm definitely enjoying that.
Would you say that it's giving drivers a little more insight to exactly what you guys are looking for, or maybe translating it better, if you will, being you guys individualized?
What I think is happening, a lot of the drivers are just kind of coming up to us individually just to make sure that they can kind of clarify what we're all looking for. So it's maybe just a different perspective and a different way that they're kind of looking at things when we're watching them out there. Because I know before we kind of just did like 1 for 100 point individually. And here we're breaking it down with style, line, and angle. So it's a little bit more of what I think a lot of people are starting to get used to.
And just to clarify, once we get into our tandem battles later today during the competition, all 3 judges will utilize the judging criteria in its complexity as all 3 of you individually. You're not going to stand in doing line, angle, and anymore. You guys are now looking at the runs, both lead and chase, as 3 individuals in its entirety, correct?
Yeah, that's right. The only thing that really changes just for the qualifying and stuff, we're just looking at it with 3 different categories, but once we go into the battles, it goes back to that same criteria again.
All right, you heard it from the man himself, Reese Marin, one of our judges here at the Gambler. It looks like a bunch of our drivers have already paraded their way out into the grid. We're going to start getting those drivers to set up and warmed up their tires and send our first qualifying driver, Alan Boss, in that crazy 350Z. That thing's majority carbon fiber, supercharged V8, a winter's quick change. This thing is a serious weapon.
It's a competition machine, for sure.
Yeah, Alan's been dialing himself in. He was having a great weekends over at East 10 over in Tennessee. Him, Chris Knapp, Trevor Root, all these guys have been driving their asses off all year to make sure that they have been behind the steering wheel as much as possible, and it's really, really showing when they show up to all these tracks and they come back home and they start ripping again. Like, the comfortability from these drivers here is unmatched, and I'm really looking forward to watching a day 2 after a good night.
Me as well. You can definitely tell which drivers have been participating in other competitions around the country, because last time we saw them at the Gambler, of course they drive fantastic, but you can see certain guys really stepping it up, especially in the chase position. Super aggressive chases we saw yesterday. I'm looking forward to what they're going to bring today.
I mean, I'm trying to scumbag these guys into even more aggression. I want to see some guys start licking door handles off, but that's only because I don't have to fix them.
It's day 2 now. Let's
is.
leave it all on the track.
These guys had a bunch of excitement going into day 1, and then they rode that out through the night into day 2. Everybody was feeling good. The practice and everybody has been really chill today. The weather has been beautiful. The sun's behind the clouds. We got a little bit of a breeze up here. And for the last couple Gamblers, it's been pretty cold.
It has been. We sort of have unlucky weather with the Gambler, but I would say not the case today or yesterday. A little warm, but still, beautiful day.
And it looks like Alan Boss has warmed up his tires. He's through the bark box. He's now ready to take his first qualifying pass. I believe our judges and panel is ready. And I think right now the lights are illuminating on that Raceway Park drag tree, and the green lights means go, as Alan Boss is going to take his first qualifying lap here at Raceway Park, day 2 of the doubleheader weekend, the Gambler.
Woo! Nice aggressive entry like we were seeing in practice from him all day. Doing a great job filling that first outer zone. He is moving through that section as he transitions into outer zone 2 and down the hill into outer zone 3. I think he did a great job filling the zone there. Really zooming past that one and only inner clip. And sure enough, does a pretty decent job at filling outer zone number 4. That one's difficult. Does get a little bit off course there. And if we're being picky, he really should fill that 5th outer zone slightly better as he comes into the bank turn of outer zone number 6. Woo-wee! Great first run by Alan Boss.
Alan setting the tone early here, really getting up on that bank wall, making that 350Z work, and you can showcase it here as he clicks into outer zone 1, maybe a tad late, but super dialed, set on his angle, super confident. The drone's having trouble keeping up with that rocket ship. It blares down the hill. And Alan Boss doing a great job through outer zone 3 and clicks back through that only inner clip, takes out that pylon, but stays on his trajectory into outside 4, enters nice and early and wide, and has a great line going into outside or the hairpin. All this run and this great driving from Alan Boss is going to set the trajectory of the day with an 84 for his first qualifying pass, an 8-4.
Yeah, I think the one thing he could probably do is just clean up that hairpin, outer zone number 5. It's right smack in front of the judges, so they definitely took a big look at that one for his first qualifying run. But he does get a second one, so he's probably going to go check out his car, swap some tires, get back out there to try to get some more points on the board.
It looks like we got our next driver up on the line here at Raceway Park. You can see that drag tree we use in the chicane. Our drivers are utilizing the chicane like they would during their lead laps here. Chris Knapp in that IS 300 sitting on the grid line waiting for the lights to illuminate for his turn to take his first qualifying lap. The drivers are responsible to navigate through that chicane without clipping any cones during their tandem battles. Here qualifying, we give a little leeway to the cones, but we also don't want them to super cheat the front. Chris Knapp waiting to take his qualifying lap here, and we're waiting for track readiness. Oh, the lights are illuminated, and green light means go. Here we go, Chris Knapp taking his first qualifying lap.
Chris Knapp in that 2J-powered IS as he enters, super aggressive way before that first cone of our 3-2-1 cones. Nice and wide coming into that first outer zone, right where you want to be, right on the edge of outer zone 1. Transitioning into outer zone 2, filling that one nicely as well. Coming down the hill with some speed, just getting into the edge of outer zone number 3. Crossing across that one inner clip and coming into the tough spot on the track, outer zone number 4, but he has no issue filling that zone completely. Nice job coming into that hairpin, woo-wee, right at the edge of that zone. That is what we want to see. Coming across that reference point for the judges and straight up into outer zone number 6 as he rides the wall. Hot dang. That's a great run by Chris
It's
Knapp.
a good thing he's already missing a taillight because I'm pretty sure that IS was just licking the bank wall here at the Raceway Park. And you can see Chris doing a great job through outer zone 1, a ton of wheel speed. That car looks nice and confident coming down the hill with those Valinos smoking off in the distance. Chris doing a great job, just clicking into outside 3, maybe just in the line, doing a great job with that inner clip, and then transitions up to that outside 4 with ease. Chris is looking super confident with this lap, and we're going to wait for our judge's decision on his final qualifying score in his first lap. Right here, you can see Chris confidently throwing it up into the wall here, and right to the end of the zone, I think he just kissed the wall, maybe making sure that taillight's never going to go back in, and Chris is going to stand with an 86, an 8.6 for his first qualifying lap. Our next driver sitting on the line, Mr. Pepperoni Parrish himself, Jake Parrish, his second competition day today. Yesterday, he saw his first competition, first qualifying, first battle win. Jake's checking the boxes off.
He's no rookie today.
No, he's definitely not. He's no virgin to the sport anymore.
Nope.
Maybe a virgin to everyone else's heart, but he's no virgin to the sport anymore. He's a full competitive drifter with that stock SR. Well, it's got some tubes and stuff on it, but mostly stock red top SR and that S13 hatch.
And
Making
away
Andrew fucking
go. Nice entry there, right in the center of that 3-2-1 cone, right where you want to be. Coming up nice and wide in that first outer zone. He's definitely given all she's got, Captain, as he transitions into the second outer zone, filling that one really nicely. Coming down the hill, outer zone number 3, also right in the zone, right where you want to be. Transitioning a little bit more angle, I would like, on that inner clip. Coming in slightly wide, slightly shallow into outer zone number 4. And finally coming in nice and smooth. Ooh, that's going to be 3 tires off there as he steals one of the cones away with him. Unfortunately, the judges
wait for it. There it goes.
are going to have to deduct for that. And just slightly low on outer zone number 5. But hey, that's why you get 2 runs, Mike.
I just want to give him credit where credit's due. He just stayed in it. He just stayed through the hairpin. He knew he made a mistake, but he just kept it through. Unfortunately, 3 tires off in the hairpin like that, as entertaining as I find it, is going to be a 0 in the judge's eye. He's going to have to rely on his second qualifying lap here. Here's where this lap got a little squirrely for him. He clicked back up in the hairpin, maybe a little too deep, stayed in it, dropped the wheel off, trying to drive that car back onto the pavement. But unfortunately, the little bit of sand here on that hairpin just couldn't pull it back. He ended up stealing our cone and then smashing it into his differential here on the wall. But Jake's having a great time out here on the bank at Raceway Park. I know he's going to eventually lock this in. So run 2 for Jake's probably going to be great.
For sure. He was definitely a little more conservative yesterday, in my opinion. He came out super aggressive today, so maybe he just needs to turn that dial back slightly, and that'll be the money.
It's because he's wearing the wrong T-shirt today that
Sure.
the energy's off, the vibe's off.
The vibes are not there.
All right, our next driver sitting on the line, it appears to be Jimmy Revert. Locked up, ready to go. That
We're just giving our track workers a second to reset that cone that Jake murdered in cold blood, and then we'll be ready to go.
Well, Jake did wreak havoc throughout the hairpin here, but this does give time for Jimmy to build on the ice or reflect a little bit before his first qualifying lap. Maybe take a couple deep breaths and get underneath his own head to the point where he can put down exactly what he needs to do, because Jimmy was looking great throughout practice. He had the aggression. He had the pace. All he had to do was lock it all together and have that perfect recipe. A few mistakes yesterday out of Jimmy, but he's looking forward to watching him clean it up today. You can see our beautiful track workers down there taking a seat, waiting for the action to get started. Look at those male models out there. That beautiful 7 Series. It's for sale, too. If you guys are interested in that beautiful BMW, it is for sale.
All right, the lights are on, and as soon as the green illuminates, he will take off for his first qualifying lap. He was driving super aggressive, and judging by that throttle input, I think he's going to keep up that trend today. Nice early entry, getting wide into outer zone number 1. Not quite in that zone as early as we want him to be, but there he is right there, leaving it a little bit early as well as he gets just to the edge of outer zone number 2. Coming zooming down the hill for outer zone number 3. Would have liked to see him a little deeper there, but decent angle on that inner clip. Coming into the tough one, outer zone number 4, and that's nice in my book. I really like that outer zone number 4. Coming in, clutch kicking into that outer zone number 5, filling that completely in the hairpin, across that reference point for the judges, and up into our 6th and final outer zone of the bank wall.
I'll tell you what, Jimmy's new wrap on that car looks great next to that Raceway Park banner up on the bank wall. And you can see Jimmy just clicking in the outside zone a little late, but getting onto his rails and then really locking in, getting into outside zone 2. Shoving it down the hill here, clicks through outside zone 2 and starts peeling in for outside 3. Maybe almost drives out of the zone, see those mistakes, corrects it, nails that front inside clip, and gets back out to outside 4, filling that super early and getting down and making it happen. We also have an 89 for Jake Parrish. Pepperoni Parrish with an 89 from our judges for a qualifying score.
Jake Parrish is going to keep his 86. That was Jimmy Revert's 89. My apologies. That was Jimmy Revert with an 89. Jake Parrish is going to have a 0 for going 3 tires off. So that's my mistake.
I see what happened here. All right. We messed the list up.
And by we mean me.
Yeah, it was just you. So Jimmy Revert's going to have an 89. Sorry, Jake. You still got a goose egg. You got the 0. We have our next driver. You can see Mike Knapp just put another differential into this car, had a hiccup during practice, so we're hoping that mechanically this car is up to the task now as Mike Knapp working his way down the straight, and you can see him initiate well before that last initiation point, getting that S13 hatch out into outside zone number 1. Knapp doing a great job as he works his way through the outside line of outside 1. Nice and fluid and confident. Oh, a little bit of a bobble there, and he shuts it down.
Oh, no.
An unfortunate hazard's on. It looks like he's having another mechanical failure.
I hope not. I'm fingers crossed for maybe a small error. Maybe he's able to come back out and take his second qualifying run, but that might be it for today. We're going to have to stay tuned.
Well, Mike Knapp definitely still has another qualifying lap here, so hopefully he can get it fixed up and ready for his second pass. It's an unfortunate turn of event. He was looking super dialed through outside zone number 1.
He was. But we have our number 1 driver from yesterday, Trevor Root, at top of the podium at yesterday's competition, but today is a new day. So let's see how he can deliver on that.
As you guys can see at home on the live stream, Knapp, unfortunately, looks like he tried to get it out into outside 2, but the car didn't do it. Shut it down, maybe conserving what's left to hopefully get a qualifying pass in here.
We're being real hopeful with this. It's because we want to see more battles. We want to see all the drivers make it into our battles.
All these drivers out here work super hard throughout the week and on the weekends to make sure both them and their machines can be in the best place possible when they come out to compete. These guys are not coming out here just for fun. Don't get me wrong, it's a very fun atmosphere, but there's thousands of dollars on the line here, and these guys are battling it out after spending thousands of dollars to come out here and to compete. So we definitely never want to see a driver get knocked out due to mechanical. All right, here we go. We got our lights illuminated. The green light is on. Trevor Root taking his first qualifying pass.
Here we go. Trevor Root, super aggressive driving yesterday as he comes into the initiation point, sending it at that first of the 1, 2, 3 cones and coming in nice and wide to that first outer zone. Great job by Trevor Root. Again, he was number 1 yesterday. We'll see how he does today. Coming in, a little left foot braking, getting into that second outer zone. And pretty nice, could have been a little deeper in the third outer zone as he transitions super quickly across that inner clip to our man-eater, the fourth outer zone. Leaving that boy a little bit early, coming into the fifth outer zone of our hairpin. Doing that super nice. You can hear his throttle commitment from here across that reference point for the judges and up into that sixth outer zone of the bank wall. Woo-wee, staying committed to giving that wall a ride.
Even giving the limiter a little love there over the finish line. Trevor Root just acquiring his Pro Spec license over in East 10 in Bristol, showcasing why he was on top of the box yesterday, getting into outside zone 1, nice and confident, a little flick into outside zone 2, a little left foot brake to get the car swing down the hill. Root doing a great job getting into outside 3, transitions that supercharged LSA BMW into outside 4, showcasing a ton of speed going into that dump and all the way through into the hairpin. A little bit more left foot brake to get the car positioned, and Root doing a solid job throughout the hairpin here, going over that reference point. Just for you guys at home and here at Raceway Park, that reference point is not a judged area. It is for our drivers and judges to understand where they should be, and Trevor Root's going to hold on to an 88, knocking him into second place. Still right behind Jimmy Revert, our number 1 qualifier in the current standings with a 89. Our next driver sitting on the line, Tyler Foley, in that orange BMW, another V8-powered BMW chassis. This guy's got a truck engine in it. I love following this guy. He's so fluid, so
Team
smooth.
truck engine for me.
Team truck engine.
Yeah.
5 3s for life. Mine's aluminum.
5 3s,
but
baby. Here
mine's
we go.
lighter.
Now, he was number 2 on the podium yesterday. I think he's out for blood today. He wants to stand at the very tippy top as he enters super, super early. Nice job getting wide for that first outer zone. Would like him to enter it just a skosh sooner for me, but he does a great job getting all the way to the edge. This guy is dialed on his line. Perfect execution on outer zone number 2 as well. Coming around to outer zone number 3, looking super smooth as he crosses over that inner clip. Setting himself nice and wide for outer zone number 4. That is what you want to do. Excellent job transitioning into that fifth outer zone of the hairpin, and he is at the edge. I don't think there's any more room for him to get deeper there as he comes across that reference point and up into the sixth and final outer zone of the bank wall. Nice, just tapping that limiter a little bit. That's a good run.
Checking the boxes off for the Foley camp. Look at Tyler Foley. Clicks into outer 1. Just a tad late, but once he's in there, he is deep. He's riding that back side of that box the entirety. Gets in the outside 2. Nice and fluid. Coming down the hill with a ton of tire smokes. Already on throttle. Clicking through outside 3. You can see Foley here super committed into outside 4. On the line all the way through. A solid job from Tyler Foley. And it really showcases with a 93 for his first qualifying pass. Our new number 1 qualifier, Tyler Foley, in that no, it's not supercharged.
No.
I don't think it is supercharged.
The Foley camp is saying no. That's even more impressive in my book, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, truck engines for life. Tyler Foley doing a great job, our new number 1 qualifier here, day 2, the doubleheader weekend at Raceway Park, the Gambler.
Next up, we have another Tyler Hess. He is in that VQ-powered S14. We'll try not to hold that against him.
Yeah, so this car has a 350Z. I believe it's an HR motor. I might be mistaken. It's a VQ. It is. And it has Honda Accord taillights, which makes it look like an S14 with a Snapchat filter.
It's upsetting to look at, Mike. But he does a great job entering at that first cone. Nice and aggressive. Let's see if he can get it wide enough to enter that first outer zone. Slowing down a little bit and going at least 1, maybe 2 tires off there. But let's see if he can clean it up as he comes around to that second outer zone. Not bad, looking much smoother than the first. Coming down a little bit slow, but not bad. Going to that third outer zone. Coming across the clip and setting himself up nice and wide. Little left foot braking as he gets into that fourth outer zone. Great job filling that there. Transitioning into the hairpin. He had a little bit of trouble with this in practice, but not right now. Great job there. Nice throttle commitment as he comes across that reference point. And last and final outer zone, transitioning up into the wall. Decent qualifying run. Great job by Tyler Hess.
Definitely not a bad showing, especially spending majority of the night last night on the lift here in the shop at Raceway Park. Thankfully, Hess being a local to Summit Point Raceway and driving with those guys over at Drift Nirvana all the time, Hess came over to compete over in the Gambler and see what he has with his VQ-powered car. He unfortunately had a differential failure yesterday, putting the car down, but thankfully through his friends and crew and the wonderful family here at Raceway Park, he was able to utilize the lift, put a differential vehicle back into this car and get it back out here for day 2 here of the doubleheader weekend. And you can see Hess doing a great job navigating this course here on the road course with that VQ-powered Honda Accord S14. And you can see it clicking off over that finish line, and it'll get him an 82 for his first qualifying lap, an 82.
Up on the line now, we have Chris Stevens, our #1 qualifier from yesterday. I don't even think I saw this man take 1 practice lap. So we'll see how he does here in qualifying. Coming in nice and hot to that entering at that first outer zone, super aggressive, getting wide out to that first outer zone. Great job. You can hear the man is on limiter again. Nice job to that second outer zone, slowing down just a little bit, going wide there, unfortunately, just a tiny bit. Third outer zone was decent coming across that inner clip. Super aggressive, getting wide out to that fourth outer zone. Great job there by Chris Stevens. Coming into the fifth outer zone, setting his car up nicely to get right in the middle of that zone. Pumping in the throttle, coming across that reference point, pouring smoke as he transitions up into that last and final outer zone of the bank wall. Tapping that limiter, playing with it.
Stevens has been locked and loaded since he got here or the beginning of the weekend. You can see him here in outside zone 1 doing a fantastic job, getting super deep all the way through. And in my opinion, that was a sick line, but I'm not a judge, so I'm not going to be able to tell what the judges are going to use that line for. But Stevens looks phenomenal through here, a ton of throttle commitment. The car's set up in a spectrum to let him use it to its maximum here at the road course, and it really showcases the comfortability Chris Stevens has developed with his chassis here on the road course here at Raceway Park.
Judges are deliberating on his score. I think they're taking a look at just going a skosh wide there from 2 to 3, but still a decent run.
And it looks like Chris Stevens is going to pull an 89 out of Chris Stevens for his first qualifying pass.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I like the aggressiveness of the entry. I think he definitely needs to clean up that line a little bit, get some more points on the board for his second run. But here we go with Maxim Chichulin. Nice, aggressive entry by Max. He was taking a ton of practice laps here today. Small correction, would like him to be a bit deeper in outer zone number 1, but he is moving. Transitioning into outer zone number 2. Again, just at the very edge of that, would like him to be a bit deeper there. And again, just shallow in outer zone number 3 as well. Decent job on the inner clip as he comes into the tough part, outer zone number 4. But does a decent job getting a wheel in there. Again, would like it to be a little deeper, a little more aggressive. Coming into the hairpin, outer zone number 5. Nice job there. Transitioning over the reference point as he switches up into outer zone number 6 of our bank wall. Getting nice and high. Again, I would like him to be a little more aggressive in each zone personally.
Max doing a good job here in his first qualifying pass. Definitely going to put points up on the board, but you can see Max with a little bit of lack of confidence, maybe trying to land that car into the zones properly, maybe a little more too much focus into being where he needs to be instead of being on the throttle and driving that car through. You can see it there in that outside zone. He knew he was in the wrong spot. He made the corrections, but it's just not as fluid as the judges would like to see. Max doing a great job through, gets him some points on the board, but it's only going to produce a 76 for Max for his first qualifying pass.
Not bad. He does have a second run again just to clean that up and get, what he needs to get. He has some points on the board. He's definitely going to qualify. So if I was him, I would just go ahead and give it all she's got for that second run.
I know Max has been dialing that car in throughout practice, but our next qualifying driver taking his second lap, Alan Boss.
Nice aggressive entry, just like his first lap. Getting nice and wide, entering that first outer zone. Super wide to the edge there. Great job. He's really moving as he comes down into the second outer zone, filling that one completely as well. Pouring smoke, getting right to the edge of that third outer zone. Nice job on the inner clip. And here we go into the fourth outer zone, right at the edge. Gosh, that one was textbook. Ooh-wee, maybe overcooking it a little bit into that fifth outer zone. The judges are going to have to take a look at that. That could have been 2 tires off there as he transitions up into that fifth and final outer zone. Man, super aggressive. Unfortunately, I think he's going to lose a few points in the hairpin there, but great run.
Did you see the way that thing moves in the dirt? That is a rocket ship of a 350Z. That full carbon fiber supercharged 350Z doing a great job here. Alan Boss navigating it through the road course. I just want to see the hairpin because he did such a great job clicking off all these boxes. Good job through the front inner clip. This shot with the drone coming into outside four just really showcases that throttle commitment super early out of Alan Boss's 350Z. And you can see him rotate up and a crazy flick, and the thing just bites right out of the dirt and drives right out of it. He got half the zone still while still putting two tires off. An impressive drive out of Alan Boss. Once again, I'm not a doctor, so we're going to have to rely on the judges here. But while we wait for our judge's decision, our next driver sitting on the line, waiting to take his second qualifying lap, looking for a few more points, Mr. Pepperoni Parrish himself. Alan Boss, even with two tires off, getting 2 more points than his last run, definitely cleaning up with an 86. An 86 for Alan Boss on his second qualifying lap. I know he's got way more in the tank, and I'm looking forward to watching him battle it out later today. But up next, Jake Paris taking his second qualifying lap here.
Let's see if he can tone it down and clean it up a bit from his first. Nice entry by Jake, getting nice and wide, setting himself up well for that first outer zone. Coming in, filling that one really nicely, transitioning to that second outer zone. Little shallow for angle, in my opinion, but doing a great job being smooth, coming down to the third outer zone, getting all the way to the edge of that. Great job there. Transitioning over that inner clip and nice and wide out to our fourth outer zone. Again, maybe a little bit more angle, but he's right where he needs to be. Nice job coming into that fifth outer zone of the hairpin, putting his tire right at the edge of that zone, filling it completely as he smashes the throttle, exiting over the reference point and transitioning up to the wall for the sixth and final outer zone. I think that's an improvement. Great job by Jake Parrish.
I think Baloney Burt just did a great job in that second qualifying pass here, and you can see him working the hell out of this little SR20 powered S13. I believe this thing's on a cut knuckle, so like he's riding the rails on this thing. It doesn't have much more in it, and he's demanding all of it today. And this second qualifying pass really showcases that you don't need all of it to come out here. And Jake Parrish taking down with an 86 for his second qualifying lap here. It just goes to show that you can come out here with a lot less and really drive the wheels off of a vehicle and put yourself into position to get back into tandem battling. And now somebody's got to follow that. Somebody with a rocket ship. Imagine Alan Boss's rocket ship behind Jake Parrish. I want to see that battle.
Me too, Mike.
Jake, his second competition day ever, yesterday being his first. Doing a good job yesterday, got one battle win, qualified. He basically almost checked all the boxes. Now he's just got to go on a win. He seemed confident during the driver's meeting. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, I agree. And he's bettering his first score of a 0 for going 3 tires off with an 86. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, one little mistake out here can really showcase and definitely a make or break here through the hairpin, especially when you start shoving up that hill with all that momentum you've been carrying through the downhill section, that front inner clip and outside four. Our next driver warming up for his second qualifying lap here, Jimmy Revert in the bark box. Getting those front tires scrubbed out, putting a little bit of heat into them, making sure that that car is as dialed as he possibly can calculate it to be, and getting ready for his second qualifying lap. Just give us a moment and Jimmy a moment to warm up those tires, and we'll get right to his first qualifying lap, or second qualifying lap. As he locks up into the starting line, you can see that chicane there. These drivers need to navigate through their tandem battles. That gives our chase driver an opportunity to really soak in and get really close to that driver going down a straightaway here into the road course so they can set themselves up for the best chase possible.
Right. We want a nice tight tandem. We don't want the lead car drag racing away because this isn't a drag race, Mike. This is drifting.
There is a drag tree out there, but it's been repurposed here to the green light go, and Jimmy Revert taking his second qualifying pass.
Nice job as he enters right at that first cone of our 3-2-1 cones and getting nice and deep, maybe a small correction there, but being decent in that first outer zone. Coming in super quick to that second outer zone, lots of angle, gets all the way to the edge. Great job there. Filling the third outer zone nicely, coming in across that clipping point, our only inner clip of the day. Coming into that fourth outer zone, that's a tough one, but he does a great job filling it out. Transitioning into the slower and more technical fifth outer zone of the hairpin. He seems really smooth in the throttle as he transitions over the reference point and up into the bank turn. Getting nice and high, all the way in the throttle, coming across the line. Great run there.
I'm telling you, that car looks great with some tire smoke behind it. And you can see Jimmy doing a good job clicking in the outside one pretty early and getting on a confident line, steering out of that zone, getting himself set up for that nice flick into outside 2 and all the way down to outside 3. That was a good drive out of Jimmy through that downhill section and goes into that front clip. Jimmy's holding his composure here going into outside 4. Gets in maybe a little late, but fills it out 4 in its entirety and clicks back up to the hairpin. And Jimmy's going to hold it down with a 91, our second place qualifying score, a 91 from Jimmy Revert. Our next driver up on the line with already a green light illuminated. You can see that root machine. Sorry, he's grown up now. He's got a Pro Spec license. That's Trevor Tree. Trevor Tree coming down the straightaway to take his second qualifying lap.
Super aggressive entry, more so than I saw him in practice and yesterday. Nice job entering that first outer zone. He's pegging limiter as he fills that zone, pouring smoke. Nice job on that second outer zone, maybe slowing down just a little bit to fill the third outer zone, transitioning across, getting nice and close to that inner clip, what we want to see, and coming nice and wide into that fourth outer zone, looking super smooth as he slows down for the fifth outer zone of our hairpin. Oh no, that's a little too wide there. That might be 2 tires off as he comes around for that sixth and final outer zone of the bank wall. This one you don't want to go too deep in, but he gets nice and high, slamming off that limiter, super, super deep in the throttle. Great job by Trevor Root.
Trevor Tree. Trevor Tree. I love when drivers get comfortable enough that they start playing with things. He's really exploring himself and his machine throughout the second qualifying run. Already with a solid run under his belt. He knows he's going to be in the show in a little bit here at Tandem Battle, and you can really see him starting to really drive this car. He's playing with the throttle, much more limiter out of the car this lap around, and you can really see it, that last drone shot going through the bank where he's just standing on it. A nice confident drive, and it's going to produce a 90 from Trevor Root, a 90 for his second qualifying lap. Unfortunately, that little tire off for Root's not going to peel off a few points, but we're going to jump right into our next qualifying driver, Tyler Foley, in that BMW E36 V8 power, that truck engine, my brethren. Filling outside zone, great. A nice fluid transfer out to outside 2. Starts shoving it down the hill. Foley's got to clean up outside 3 and does a fantastic job as he works away that inner side clip. Rotates that BMW out to outside 4, riding the outside line, getting out nice and early into outside 4, doing a great job as he transitions up to the hairpin. Foley's got to keep it on the pavement, riding that outside line, doing a great job keeping it out of the dirt. As Foley rolls down to that reference point, back up, he's got to keep it nice and high on the bank wall, keep the taillights off the paint, and he's doing a great job finishing off nice and strong for his second qualifying lap.
Woo-wee, he's showing us why he is currently the #1 qualifier, sitting at the top of the qualifying order. Let's see if he can better that score of a 93.
Yeah, definitely a little left on the table outside 1, but outside 2 was crazy good coming down the hill with nice confidence. You can see that front wheel barely putting in any inputs. That car is locked and loaded. It's sitting on rails, navigating it through this course here. He's really driving the car with the back axle with a lot of throttle commitment and something that the judges would like to see. Once again, I'm not a judge, but I think Tyler's doing a great job here, and I'm waiting on the judge's decision to see what points he's going to get for his second qualifying lap. And Mr. Consistency, Tyler Foley, only with a 92. Can't better that 93, but a 92 for his second qualifying lap's definitely not too shabby. Our next driver sitting on the line, that Snapchat filter S14 of Tyler Hess.
Hopefully those Honda headlights don't get in his way as he tries to put down a better score from his 82 of the first run.
Look, you guys are knocking them. I think they look great. Maybe a little alignment, but I bet a front bumper on that thing would look like you didn't even know.
I'm sensing some sarcasm. Great job entering, getting nice and wide to that first outer zone, entering right when he should be and staying pretty deep in that zone. Great job there. Coming around, absolutely smashing the throttle into the second outer zone, just getting just at the edge of that one there. Being really smooth as he comes down the hill, fully filling that third outer zone. Great job coming past that inner clip and nice and wide around to our fourth outer zone. This one's very technical, but he does a great job of filling that completely. Nice and smooth in the transition for our fifth outer zone. A little bit shallow there, but he does get it through it completely. Coming across the reference point and transitioning up into that sixth and final outer zone of the bank wall. Great job by Tyler Hess.
You can see Hess doing a fantastic job. That VQ-powered S14 with those Honda Accord headlights doing a great job navigating through the road course here during our doubleheader weekend at Raceway Park, the Gambler. Hess's car filling out outside 3. As he rotates up to that front inner clip, he's holding a lot of confidence, and it's going to produce a 90 for his second qualifying pass, a 90 out of Tyler Hess. I'm telling you, I like the headlights.
It's a style choice.
Look, drifting, for me, is 50 feet, 50 miles an hour.
Well, it certainly looks good sideways in the bank. I'll give him that.
And it definitely showcased with a 90 out of Tyler Hess for his second qualifying lap. We're waiting on Chris Stevens to take his second qualifying pass here.
The green light is on, and away we go. Let's see if he can clean up that first run, and I think he's going to get a great score here. Super aggressive entry. Oh, no. Oh, no. So officially the rule is that if a hatch opens, a trunk opens, that might be a 0, guys. Let's see how he does for the rest of the run, flapping that trunk at us. Nice job getting super deep, tons of smoke in that third outer zone, coming zooming across that inner clip, coming around to our fourth outer zone, getting right to the edge. Oh no, this is gonna be a heartbreaker. Coming to the fifth outer zone of the hairpin, putting it right where it needs to go, right at the very edge of that zone. Gosh damn, slapping limiter coming into the sixth outer zone of the bank wall. Great job by Chris Stevens, but we're gonna have to go to the rule book on that trunk. Bear with us.
As you can see, Chris Stevens navigating through, showcasing he's got those neons on top of the H-Town Till I Drown. If the feds are asking, I do drywall stuff going on in the trunk, trying to show off the subwoofers. We're waiting for our judges to deliberate to figure out if they're in our rule book here at Raceway Park, the Gambler, if that hatch opening is going to be distracting to our chase driver and resulting into a 0 for Chris Stevens' second qualifying lap. Beyond the trunk, that's a major focus of this run. Chris Stevens threw down a great second qualifying lap here. You can see our guys parading back through the grid while we got a little downtime as our judges deliberating. A parade of sounds, if you will. V8s, JZs, a little SR20 action as well. Our next driver sitting on a line, Max in that BMW, waiting to take his second qualifying lap here, gridded up, waiting on our judges to deliberate to figure out if Chris Stevens made an illegal trunk opening move. We have to go back through our rules, and we want to make sure we make the right decision here. Just bear with us as we get back to the action. You can see Stevens, though, threw down a heater of a lap. A little pull out of one, a little early, but he stayed into it to its entirety and gets back down that hill and has to go and click out outside 3. Stevens, always throttle committed, standing on the limiter. This car is set up in the spectrum he wants to use it in, and he's set to maximum almost at all times. All right, so Chris Stevens going to get a 97 for that run, holding a little bit of rules checky, but the score doesn't change. He got a 97, a new #1 qualifier, pending some rules changes, which we'll discuss during our drivers meeting with our drivers, but nonetheless, Chris Stevens with a 97 on that second qualifying lap. Our next qualifying driver, Max in that BMW with the green lights illuminated coming down the straightaway here. Max clicks in super early, well before that last initiation point, getting nice and wide out to outside 1. A little bit of a bobble, pulling out of outside 1, but gets that back in halfway through. Starts pulling out a little early as he clicks back into outside 2. A nice shove down the hill, and he needs to get back on throttle earlier so he can get all the way out to outside 3. And you can see he landed a little short. He starts to rotate back up to that inner side clip. Max needs to do a good job, a little less braking, more throttle commitment to get him all the way out to outside 4. I wonder if that car is giving it all he's got or if it's a little driver input. But he's trying to manhandle that car around the course here at Raceway Park. Still spinning the wheels. He is still, in theory, drifting, going all the way up to the bank wall. But he is having a struggle trying to get out to those outside zones.
Well, at least he puts down a complete run. He's definitely going to get a score there. Now, I do have to break a few hearts because we looked it up. It's officially a rule. The trunk, the hatch, the hood, anything that latches, that opens during a qualifying run is a 0. So unfortunately, Tyler is going to still sit as our #1 qualifier currently until we get all the scores in. Chris Stevens, that 97 is going to be 0.
Tough break for Chris Stevens, losing those solid qualifying points here, but he's still in the show. He's still going to battle it out, and we have tandem battlings coming up shortly. Our last driver just taking here, Max, that last second qualifying run of our fleet of drivers. Unfortunately, Max is going to keep that 76 from his first lap here and just hold on to those points going in for the rest of the weekend.
That's going to do it for our qualifying. Every driver that has a working machine has put down at least 2 scores. So we're going to tally those up, make sure everybody is squared away, and we'll get our final qualifying order during our drivers' meeting that will happen shortly.
At this time, I need our drivers to hop out of their machines and wander over to the pavilion where we can get our bracket delivered to you and go over our drivers' meeting. For the rest of you guys hanging out with us here today at Raceway Park, this would be a great time to visit our amazing bathroom facilities. Stop in at Sneaky Pete's Bar, grab a drink special, or stop over at the grease truck and grab some snacks. And we're going to get back to the tandem battles here shortly. For you guys joining us on the internet, thank you for joining us here both on Facebook and YouTube. You can see Raceway Park and our event sponsors. Make sure you guys wander through their social channels. Show them a little bit of love. Let them know that the E-Town Gambler sent you through. And a big shout out to all of them for helping make this series happen for our drivers here today. A big shout out to our track crew and staff as well as media. Thank you guys for helping make the production happen. For you guys sitting at home, please sit back and enjoy. We'll get some sights and sounds of the facility. We're going to get our drivers situated and back onto the grid and get back out for some tandem battle action here momentarily. As you can see on the live stream at home, everybody migrating to the food truck and the bar literally adjacent to the track here at Raceway Park. That building right there with its own set of bleachers is Sneaky Pete's Bar. Right behind there, Vinny, my man, has been changing, slinging tires all weekend underneath the tent. Thanks to Vinny for being out there sweating all day, making sure that there's fresh rubber underneath these guys' cars. If you guys haven't already, make sure you wander in the Sneaky Pete's Bar. It's an entire adventure in itself. Make sure you say hello to Nation. Tip your bartenders because the drinks are phenomenal. The halftime bourbon, definitely a favorite. You can see Raceway Park has been a busy facility today with a motocross race going on just behind us, right behind that little mini ramp going into the track entrance. You can see the motocross races have been going on all day. These guys have been ripping through a beautiful course here at Raceway Park. It's only one of the many things that Raceway Park offers at this amazing facility here in New Jersey. If you see any motorsport here at Raceway Park that interests you, make sure you guys stop in at racewaypark.com. You can get signed up yourself. We did accept gate admission for this event today, this morning, allowing our drivers to show up at the gate, pay at the gate, qualify as long as their car is past tech, and compete today with everybody else to compete for thousands of dollars and stand on top of their box and gamble away. Attention all drivers in the pits competing today at the Gambler Doubleheader Weekend. I need you guys to start migrating to the awning for your driver's meeting. I repeat, start migrating to the awning for your driver's meeting. If you guys are still joining us here on the live stream, both on YouTube and Facebook, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for coming all out of the way to join us here at Raceway Park. We would love to have you here in person, but sometimes these drone shots are almost better. You guys are getting a view of the motocross racing going on just adjacent to the road course here. You can see the road course in the background, and you can see these guys have been ripping around all day, a buzzing bees, a whole bunch, I think, 2-stroke, 4-stroke, a whole bunch of motorcycle stuff. That parking lot is full. Those guys have a massive race going on, and you can see the beautiful road course in the background, Sneaky Pete's bar, and our paddock and pit area where our drivers are locked and loaded and ready for tandem battles here later today. The massive complex here at Raceway Park has a plethora of motorsports activities to offer. Make sure you guys stop in at racewaypark.com to check out all the events happening here during the entirety of the year. You can see all the way in the back left, that's the Drift Stadium, the repurposed drag stadium here. It is now a Formula Drift Pro Track circuit that we actually utilize in different rounds of this series. You can also see the go-kart track there in the background as well, also utilized for grassroots events, fun events, go-karts, motorcycle training, a plethora of motorsports that happens here. Not a normal view of that Drift Stadium all the way over here. You can see that massive coliseum where these guys have battled it out. These very same drivers over here in the road course have darkened those lines around that figure eight. That stadium is non-forgiving with those walls at every turn can bite back. We've seen tons of drivers total cars out, come back, heroes, losers. It's taken out everybody. Definitely a cool aspect here that we have two different track layouts to utilize. Almost a short course, a drag style, if you will, in the old drag stadium, that figure eight, and then all the way back to the road course here, which has a combination of 7 complete zones, judged zones here. And we still haven't utilized the entirety of the track. There's miles left. If you guys want to get signed up for a future Raceway Park Gambler, make sure you guys get signed up at racewaypark.com. Our next round of gamblers should be on the Drift Stadium, the very stadium you're seeing right there. It is a fast course that demands a lot of a driver in a technical aspect to keep themselves together. Got to make sure they keep it off the walls. It has bitten back a tons of taillight pieces behind those K-rails. As we rotate back around to that massive parking lot filled with motocross and drifting, that race going on in the background, and that road course, that beautiful, beautiful road course here at Raceway Park. Just waiting for our tandem battles to happen here shortly after our drivers meeting. Thank you guys for joining us here on the live stream, both at YouTube and Facebook. And we'll be right back to the action momentarily. You can see the drones have hovering over Alan Boss's 350Z over there in the pits. He's got a beautiful setup. These guys have been cooling all weekend. Alan Boss's 350Z has been treating him super well, super confident driving. Looking forward to watching him tandem later today. You can see our competing drivers are back in their pits, setting their cars up, getting a new pair of tires underneath their car, getting ready for the tandem battles here. Except for Root. Root's just chilling. Trevor Tree just back there chilling. Trevor's got the car up. He's got his quad sitting next to it. He's probably off doing errands. Pretty cool to get our drone to wander through our pits here during our live stream. You guys can see what's going on behind the scenes with our list of drivers here competing at the doubleheader weekend of the Gambler. That looks like the Hess camp. These guys have been all over the facility. Like I said earlier, Tyler Hess and his crew and team and friends were late in the shop, late last night, putting a new differential into that car. Having a mechanical issue yesterday, Hess looking to make his improvements today. Definitely a strong showcase throughout qualifying. Looking forward to see what Hess can do. Hopefully him and his team are just looking at it with good breathing habits instead of hands on the head, making sure it's not broken. But it looks like those guys are getting that car ready to roll here at Raceway Park, the Gambler. If you guys have never been to Raceway Park, this is a beautiful facility which has been hosting drifting for well over multiple decades, as well as drifting for decades before that. This facility is locked in, and this road course is a gem. We've been utilizing what we've dubbed the front course here, using that big straight in the back, going into outside zone 1, all the way down the hill, curling back through the hairpin in front of the bleachers here in the judges stand, that tower and tent sitting right there, and across the bank wall where you can go back to the infamous tree turn. Tree turn then goes back all the way through another back course, and we have a whole nother road course section through there. There's multiple layouts to be utilized at this road course, and it is a beautiful facility that has been hosting drifting for decades. A big shout out to and thank you to Raceway Park for holding the Gambler Series here at this beautiful facility. This is the calm before the storm, if you will. All our drivers and crew back into their pits, setting their cars up, maybe taking a short break and breath after their qualifying and practice sessions this morning. These guys have already competed one time today, or one time this weekend, my apologies, with this doubleheader weekend. A full comp, already awarded, big checks, already guys standing on the box from yesterday. Had to carry that energy into today. Everybody that had the mechanicals looks like they have fixed their mechanical gremlins and have be able to get back out here for qualifying, and majority of our drivers had done an excellent job. You can see Foley, that entire camp just outside that gate there. These guys have been here all weekend. They're chilling too. They have a great setup. These guys are always having a great time. That entire Foley camp, make sure that BMW is at top notch, and Tyler is showcasing that he is super consistent. Tyler Foley won his Pro Spec license last year, deciding to take this year, cruise a little bit, really dialing himself and his program in to work into the future plans for himself and his car. I'm looking forward to watching Foley drive in the future as well, and looking forward to him battling out here in just a moment with the other drivers here at the Raceway Park Gambler. If you'd like to come join us out here at the Gambler, make sure you stop in at racewaypark.com. You can get signed up for our next round in the series here. It could be you out there chilling, camping out in that RV, drinking twisted teas like Root, hanging out. You can see the man himself, Mike Knapp, getting his wares together. Tires and wheels loaded up in the truck. All our drivers are prepping their machines for battle here in just moments. Thank you guys for your patience out on the live stream. Thank you for joining us on both Facebook and YouTube. If you guys have any of your favorite drivers, make sure you get into the comments. Go tag them on social media. Hype them up. This is the time to get them in the zone, or in their heads, if you will. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to go stop in, do our drivers meeting, maybe stop into Sneaky Pete's bar right here at Raceway Park, grab a drink, and we'll get right to the action at Raceway Park, the doubleheader weekend, the Gambler.
We need drivers. All drivers down to the tent for the drivers meeting. All drivers down to the tent for the drivers meeting. We have about 10 minutes to the drivers meeting, so make your way down to the tent if you don't mind. 10 minutes to the drivers meeting.
Thank you guys for hanging us with us. Raceway Park. At this time, I need our drivers to make their way to the awning, please. Our remaining drivers, please make your way to the driver meeting. We are moments away from getting to the tandem battle action here at Raceway Park, the doubleheader weekend. You can see Jimmy's S13 sitting back in the pits. A great looking car. It looks like it's got some fresh paint and wrap on there. This car looks great on the bank with that Raceway Park banner behind it and the tire smoke. Jimmy and the entire camp having a great time here at Raceway Park for the Gamblers. They've been hanging out all weekend long. He's been taking the kids for rides on the pit bikes through the pit, checking out all the other machines and drivers' pit area. If you guys have never been over to Raceway Park, make sure you guys check it out. You can get over to racewaypark.com and check out all the events happening here. There's a motocross race happening just to our right next to the road course here. We are just moments away to getting into our tandem battles here at Raceway Park, day 2 of the Gambler doubleheader. Our track workers has reset the course. We're making our final laps around, making sure the track is ready and set for our drivers. At this time, I'm going to need all our competitive drivers to start making their way out to the grid lanes. If you guys are joining us here at Raceway Park in person, thank you for coming and enjoying this beautiful weather here in New Jersey. This would be your time warning, a good time to go stop by your grease truck, grab some snacks or Sneaky Pete's bar, grab that last-minute drink, and getting ready for the action here of the tandem battles for day 2. Our drivers are starting to parade out into our grid right behind that burnout box where our drivers will warm up their tires. Our drivers try to put a little bit of heat, scrub off some old rubber or track debris off of those new or used tires in the front and get some heat in there to get a more consistent drive out of the machine. After that burnout box, they'll make a movement to the grid start where we have the repurposed drag tree from over at the drag strip at the stadium, now the drift stadium for other rounds of the series here at the Gambler. The drag tree will illuminate Pro Tree style. All yellow lights illuminate, then the green. At green, the lead driver is allowed to take his position as that lead driver navigating through the chicane, and it is his responsibility to put as close as he can to a 100-point qualifying run and give the real estate for the chase driver to showcase what kind of driver skill set and machine capabilities he has behind him. That chase driver is allowed to jump the line and get a head start on the lead driver, and the lead driver must leave under the green light. We're getting our first couple drivers out to the grid line now, and our first driver battles warmed up and locked into their grid positions. We'll get to our tandem battle action here very shortly, so this is your time warning to get and find your seats. Once again, I'd like to throw a big thank you out to our event sponsors, helping make this Gambler Series happen all year long for our drivers on a various amount of courses. Over here today, we're on the road course on the live stream at home. You can see the road course layout. You can see outside zone 1, 2 in the distance. Then you go down the hill to 3, that front under clip. You can't even see outer 4. And what you're getting a glimpse on that right side of the screen is outer zone 5, which then goes past the reference point up to outer zone 6. This is a long lap here at Raceway Park's road course, so our drivers had plenty of opportunities to showcase what they got, but also with the adjacent, plenty of opportunities to make mistakes. If you guys are just joining us on our live stream, we thank you guys for your patience earlier as we had our live stream up for our qualifying drivers. All of our field drivers qualified earlier, throwing down what they could. A couple drivers showcasing some mistakes, other drivers really showcasing what they're capable of. With that little bit of time break, we've allowed our drivers to make repairs and any changes to the machines, getting in preparation for tandem battles here now. We thank you guys for your live stream patience, and if you're just joining us, welcome to Raceway Park the Gambler, day 2 of the doubleheader weekend. We've been parading our drivers out to the grid line now and getting them in position to run the show. At this time, I need all of our competing drivers to continue getting out to the grid. I repeat, all competing drivers get out to the grid. Look at these drivers out here, a plethora of machines. BMWs, S chassis, 350Zs. You even got an S14 with a 350Z engine and Honda Accord headlights. You have Tyler Foley's orange BMW, V8 powered truck engine brethren. You can see Chris Stevens, unfortunate turn of events, having his trunk open during qualifying, but he threw down a 97, which would have been a #1 qualifying score, and an unfortunate turn of events for Stevens. And I know he's not happy about that, but he's going to take that aggression into these tandem battles, and I'm really looking forward to Stevens showcasing what he's capable of. All right, it looks like with Max making some movement towards the burnout box, we're ready to get our tandem battles started here. Max opting not to warm up his tires. Bold choice, Cotton. Let's see how that one plays out for him.
I am interested, Mike. I wonder what's going on. So to fill in our viewers at home, we are running a top 8 bracket. However, we had a few extra drivers. So what we're doing is our 10th place qualifier, Mike Knapp, and our 9th place qualifier, Max Chichulin. They will be doing battle for who sees the next competitor, Jake Parrish, and then we will move on to our top 8.
With this weekend being a doubleheader, we've had our drivers show up, and now we have a top 8, and these last 3 drivers are going to compete for that final spot moving into that top 8. Our last driver is down, Mike Knapp in that black S13, sitting in the chase position, going up against Max BMW, and here we go. The green light's already illuminated. Let's get right into the action as Max takes the lead. Both drivers work their way into outside zone 1. Max enters well before the last initiation point, getting out to outside zone number 1. Mike Knapp trying to put the proximity on, falling into the smoke line of Max BMW as they work their way outside 2. Max doing a good job trying to give the real estate to Mike Knapp to play and get really close to that BMW as both drivers click their way through outside 3. Max rotates that BMW past that only inside clip, back out to outside 4, doing a good job. Nice drive into outside 4 line now as Mike falling slightly behind, a little less pace in the BMW. See if he can clean it up around the hairpin. Max doing a great job filling that outside zone, and Mike's trying to put the pressure on now as both drivers blaze past the judges tower over that reference point right there as Max doing a great job trying to get up close to that wall. Mike makes his move, trying to make that proximity known across the finish line. A solid first lap here to start off our tandem battles at day 2 of this Gambler doubleheader weekend.
Give it up for our drivers, doing a great job, starting things off exciting. I think Max's strategy of not warming up his tires worked out well for him.
It looks like he warmed them up through outside one. He shoved that thing well before that first initiation point. And you can see Max here, the car looks dialed. Max was one of our drivers. He got a ton of practice time, a ton of steering wheel time today during our practice session. And it's really showcasing here what his BMW doing, what he's asking of it.
And Mike Knapp just getting his car back together after not being able to put down a qualifying run, having to change another diff, 2 in 1 weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough. That's rough for anybody. One differential sucks. To have to do 2, and now to come out here and display this kind of mechanical confidence in a vehicle and chasing somebody that during practice was struggling a little bit is kudos to both of these drivers. Max doing a great job in this run. You couldn't even tell that he was having a little bit of a practice struggle. And then Mike to come out with that much confidence in a vehicle after 2 repairs and a rough weekend, kudos.
Yeah, you can tell how bad these guys want to battle their way into the top 8. We're going to flip him around and send him again. This time, Mike Knapp leading and Maxim Chichulin giving chase.
Our drivers are locked into the grid position, waiting for the green light. All right, our judges are ready, waiting for our second half of our first battle here of day 2 at the Gambler doubleheader. The yellow lights are illuminated, green means go, as Mike Knapp now taking his position through the chicane as a lead driver. Max in that BMW needs to chase. Both drivers come down and initiate well before that first initiation point. Max taking a weird approach into outside zone 1 as Mike Knapp trying to get dialed in early. Clicks into outside zone number 1, doing a great job of riding the outside edge of that zone as both drivers transition to outside 2. Max now falling into position he needs to be, following that hatch of Mike Knapp into outside 3. Both drivers transition up past that front clip. Mike doing a great job as Max giving him a little room and now starting to put the pressure on as both drivers work in outside 4. Max BMW trying to put the pressure on of that JZ powered S13 of Mike Knapp as both guys work their way through the hairpin. Max taking a much tighter line, and Knapp is doing a great job filling that outside zone number 5. Rotates down by the reference point. Mike Knapp wouldn't even know they got barely any practice with those fresh dips, and a solid confident lap out of Mike Knapp in the lead. Max taking a lot of line choices there, trying to clean up or mistakes, if you will.
You could tell he's trying to get on Mike Knapp's door, but Mike's definitely not making it easy. He's on a mission here. He wants to get into that top 8. As you can tell from the crowd cheering, they really like his driving here. He's trying to make up for not getting enough laps in from that broken diff for sure. And he's on a mission. He's zooming through these zones, putting his car pretty much right where he needs to. Maybe 1 or 2 errors there, but all in all, I think a really decent lead run by Mike Knapp. And Max is just trying to reel him in here. I don't know if that's enough to get Max the win in the chase.
Yeah, Max's performance here in the chase was a little lackluster, but his lead lap was super solid. You can see in the side-by-sides here, Max is locked into outside zone 1, but so was Knapp. Both drivers transitioned to outside 2, and Knapp was slightly deeper than Max was in that zone. Max just clicking at a 3, and Knapp also slightly deeper. Both drivers transitioned up at that front inner clip. You can see the pacing's slightly similar between the 2 drivers. They enter into outside 4, but Max starting to put the pressure on. Max doing a solid job all the way up, and as he rotates up into that hairpin, Max is nice and deep, but so is Mike Knapp. As both drivers finish off their last super strong, we're going to have to wait on the judges' decision for the final battle.
We do have a result here. It was a split decision, but Mike Knapp will get the win. Mike Knapp will get the win. I think overall the judges just felt that he had a bit cleaner of a lead run, so that was the deciding factor. Mike Knapp will move on and battle Jake Parrish right now.
Wow, so this battle for this last spot in the top 8 is really heating up. Mike Knapp not giving that new differential, number 2 differential, any time to relax, as he'll have to jump right back in the line with Jake Paris. Mr. Pepperoni Paris himself, the second day of competition. Lots of confidence in the drivers' meeting out of this man. He had a great performance yesterday, already taking out Mike Knapp once, so I know there's a little bit of some dirt talk going on over at the shop and post-event, so I know Mike Knapp wants to return the favor to Baloney Bird over there.
They did do battle yesterday, so I know there's a lot of emotions on the line. Feelings are running high. They want a little redemption. They want to see each other again and see if there's a different result.
Now, Knapp definitely has a power advantage here, both drivers having a similar chassis, but Jake's car is essentially on stock bump stops. It's a relatively stock 200 horsepower red top SR20, relatively simple build. He has been licking that thing off of the walls here on the road course multiple times here at East Coast Drift School. So Jake is no stranger to the course here, but is a stranger to competition. Mike Knapp, who has been competing all year long, has been figuring out his car and his machine. And I think with that little bit of a kick in the ass about the differentials, I think he really wants to put some results in.
For sure, I agree. I think he definitely wants to beat out Jake this time and take that position into the top 8.
Beautiful shot here of our grid. Kyle getting all our drivers prepped, ready, in position, and set for our next battles. We have Mike Knapp already ready to go. All right, it looks like Mike Knapp's going to take a small parade lap, cool down the chassis. We'll allow it.
Give him a few minutes since he did just run. Normally we don't like to run back-to-back just to give drivers enough time to change tires, to get their cars situated, but he says he just wants a quick cool-down lap and he's ready to go, so the judges will allow that and we'll get him on the line with Jake right now.
Mike Knapp doing a great job throughout the rest of the weekend. It looks like he's going to take a short lap here. It looks like the car needed to get done what it got done. Jake looks solid throughout practice. The student driver sticker right above his little wall ding.
He's definitely driving more aggressively today than yesterday. He's trying to use all that, 180-some horsepower to his advantage?
Well, he was telling me over in Sneaky Pete's that he got the boost back. So basically, he had a coupler rip, and now that it's actually making 9 pounds of boost pressure, it seems a lot more drivable than him.
Well, I definitely agree. It looks more drivable, looks more aggressive, that he's definitely on the line he's supposed to be on. The car looks like it's performing properly for him today, so this should be an interesting battle.
Yeah, Jake's out there on 15-inch tires, stock SE wheels, bump stops, coilovers.
Just proof positive that you don't need a full FD card build to come out and be competitive at the Gambler. You know, run what you brung. If you have a car that passes tech, you have a car that makes enough power to keep up with these guys, Jake's on 180-some, you're good.
Jake's out here, maybe 200 horsepower Fury on a cold fall day, and we get right back into our battles for that last position of the top 8 as Jake Paris takes the lead position. Mike Knapp trying to put the pressure on, trying to ride that momentum off, just coming out of a battle already as Jake Paris trying to get out to that last outside zone. Jake with a lot of wheels off, and Mike Knapp showing great patience, letting Jake get back into position. Mike Knapp now trying to put his aggression in as they work their way down the hill. Both drivers click into outside zone 3. Jake super D taking out both the pylons as he works his way past that front inner clip. Mike Knapp choosing his own adventure, staying out of the way as Jake Paris, the Pepperoni Paris himself, going all over the track here, putting down a lead lap for Mike Knapp to chase. Jake Paris keeps it out of the dirt, keeps it in outside 4 as Mike Knapp's continually behind that S13. That 200 horsepower SR getting beaten up into the bank here at Raceway Park as Mike Knapp trying to finish off strong behind him.
That was a great battle. I definitely think the beginning, Jake doing 2, possibly 3 tires off. The judges are definitely going to hold that against him, unfortunately. We're going to flip him around and let him go again. So, you know, it's still anybody's game, but unfortunately I think that error is going to weigh heavy on the judges' minds.
Yeah, Jake's definitely throwing that car around and using a lot of the car's own inertia to make up for where the power is lacking. You can see Jake make a few errors going into zones, maybe not as calculated chaos as we would like to see from the judge's perspective. And you can see Mike Knapp doing a great job kind of navigating through those mistakes without getting too far into a danger zone following Jake Paris's car throughout a road course here at Raceway Park.
Yeah, checking out the replay, you can really see how far offline Jake was there. I think he just accidentally overcooked this entry just a little bit too much aggression, maybe overdriving the car a bit, which is unfortunate because the rest of his run was pretty aggressive. He was in most of the zones where he needed to be, but unfortunately not starting out strong there. But hey, it's anyone's game. Mike's going to lead. Jake will give chase now, and maybe he'll pull a fantastic chase out of his butt. I don't know.
Well, if I know anything, Jake didn't wear his good T-shirt today.
He did not.
So that might be throwing off his game. If he he's got new heat waves, gifted heat waves. It's very strange for a judge to bribe a driver to do better. I'm kidding.
I mean, some of our judges are fans as well. So maybe we have one of our judges is a big fan of Jake.
So Kenrick's a big Jake Parrish fan.
He is.
Oh, Pepperoni Parrish. Premium sausage. The way sausage should be as we get right back in the second half of the battle here is Mike Knapp, the bigger Knapp, taking that lead position, clicks in well before that last initiation point, and Jake Parrish not far behind him. That JZ-powered S13 hatch of Mike Knapp doing a great job filling outside zone number 1 as Jake Parrish trying to keep up with the speed and the wheel speed going into the hatch of Mike Knapp's car as they rotate down the hill. Mike Knapp slightly avoiding outside 3. Jake Parrish trying to get a little deeper, but falling behind now as Mike works his way past that first inner clip. Knapp getting super deep in the outside 4 and a little bit of a correction, giving Jake an opportunity to catch back into the hairpin here. Jake trying to take that real estate out, but Mike Knapp's getting attention now with a lot of aggression leaving the hairpin. Both drivers work their way out of the hairpin and transition down. Mike Knapp putting a couple car lengths on the Jake Parrish's S13 as both drivers finish off their lap.
That was a tough one, Mike. Definitely fatal error there by Mike Knapp going into outer zone number 4. Goes a little wide. Let's check the replay here. Mike Knapp starts out really strong, going super deep in outer zone number 1, pulling away from Jake a bit as he comes into outer zone number 2. Coming around to the center section, this is where we can see it just sort of go a little bit awry. Now, keep in mind, Jake is far back in the chase. So even though Mike does go off course, does a bit of a correction, they are going to look at Jake's chase run as well. And they're deliberating on the winner here. Unfortunately, they're definitely going to be checking out those errors. And we do have a verdict. The winner will be Mike Knapp. Mike Knapp moves on to battle against our number 1 qualifier, Tyler Foley. Mike's definitely going to have to clean it up against our number 1 qualifier. Tyler takes no prisoners. We'll see that battle in just a bit. Right now, we're going to get Tyler Hess in his S14 and Chris Stevens in his S13 up to the line.
Yeah, Mike Knapp is definitely going to have some real estate to play with following Tyler Foley, who has been locked in all weekend long. But the next battle on the line between Hess and Stevens, we have some Let It Ride tokens. Our Let It Ride tokens are randomly awarded to qualifying positions. After qualifying, the drivers in those positions are awarded those Let It Ride tokens. Tyler Hess holding on to that South Bay Fuel Injectors Let It Ride token. And on the other side, Chris Stevens with that Drift HQ Let It Ride token. Both these drivers have the opportunity right now to take a win and double the money thanks to those Let It Ride tokens. If the driver fails to win this battle, he will lose and forfeit that token, the Let It Ride token, to the other driver, and that next driver will move on to the bracket. And unfortunately, being day 2 of our doubleheader weekend, their weekend will be done. Our Let It Ride tokens hold and double value with every win. They reset values when they change hands until we get to our final battle. At the final battle, those values lock in. If those drivers choose to let it ride, they now have the opportunity to steal the full face value of those tokens in that final bracket and add a couple $100 extra, if not thousands extra, to their pocket on top of the big check standing on top of the podium later. Our next battle sitting on the line between Tyler Hess and Chris Stevens. Tyler Hess piloting that S14 with the Snapchat filter in the left lane with no bumper. Those are Honda Accord headlights. Don't look bad from the drone from 50 feet. As you get closer, you can really see the Honda in it. And you can make some sounds. It's a 350Z engine underneath the Tyler Hess's S14 as he clicks in the outside 1 and a lot of wheels off. And Chris Stevens showing a ton of manipulation behind him, keeping that car out of the side of the S14 of Tyler Hess as both drivers continue on their lap. Tyler Hess trying to clean that lap up as they work in the outside 3, but Chris Stevens not far behind him. Hess a little bit of a weird shake through that front inside zone as Chris Stevens giving them the real estate to make his moves. I'm waiting for destruction at this point. Hess making that car do what he needs it to do, and Stevens doing a great job trying to manipulate it behind him. Hess flicks down to that reference point. Stevens giving him a little bit of room into the danger zone here up in the bank, and Hess finished off strong. Chris Stevens starting to reel him back in over the finish line.
Woo-wee, that was a tough one. These cars are a little unevenly matched. The VQ in Tyler Hess's car definitely making a ton less power than Chris Stevens. Here we see on the replay, Tyler Hess making a big bobble in that first outer zone, but it doesn't seem to upset Stevens, who keeps his car in drift and has the opportunity to suck back up to Tyler Hess's door. I don't know what's going on there in the center section. Judges are going to have to take a look at that strange little straighten thing. Doesn't seem to upset Stevens at all as he stays with Tyler going into the 5th outer zone. Tyler not quite as deep as we want him to be, and Stevens is planted on his door. Tyler sort of runs away just a little bit going to that 6th outer zone, but Stevens catches right back up over the finish line. We're going to have to check in with our judges, see what they think, but we're going to send them again. This time Stevens leading and Tyler Hess giving chase.
And here we go. Here we go, the second half of their battle here as Steven enters well before our last initiation point. Hess trying to fall in position behind him as both driver click into outside zone number 1. Hess a little bit of an issue as Steven starts rolling through outside zone 1, flicks into outside 2. Both drivers click through. Hess a little bit of a lockup and a little bit of, a big mistake. That is a straighten out of Hess as both drivers work their way through the front inner clip. Hess jumps back into position now, putting on a show for our fans in the stands, knowing that that's a major mistake. Chris Stevens putting on a clinic here. He needs to keep it on the pavement. He needs to finish his lap off strong because, unfortunately, that mistake out of Hess is not going to weigh well.
Hot dang, here we go. Both drivers across the finish line. You can tell Stevens has something to prove after that unfortunate 0 in qualifying. He was definitely upset about that. And it's official due to that large error. Stevens is going to get the win. Stevens gets the win. Hey, you hate to see it decided on an error, but I think that is a correct call by the judges, letting Stevens move on.
Well, Stevens showed a ton of car control. You can see it through that outside 1 to 2. He gave the patience and realized that Hess was doing some weird stuff in front of him. Gave him enough real estate, not only for Hess to figure it out, but manipulated his car in a fluid fashion to get back into position at the next zone. Knowing that there is a long lap here on the road course at Raceway Park, there is 6 total judge zones that are under the judge's discretion of how well you can pull those off. Just throwing away an entire lap because a chase driver or a lead driver gives you a little bobble is definitely not the smartest plan. You guys can see it in this side-by-side replay here as Stevens just doing a phenomenal job. And unfortunately, Hess might have some mechanical issues, but it just wasn't what we needed out of him today. Stevens taking the win in that battle also doubled the value of that Drift HQ Let It Ride token and also stole that South Bay Fuel Injectors Let It Ride token. Now holding on to 2 tokens going into our final 4. He's looking for the verdict of Tyler Foley and Mike Knapp. Our next battle to the line will be Trevor Tree holding on to a Flipsco Let It Ride token going up against Alan Boss. Alan Boss piloting that carbon fiber 350Z. That thing is a rocket ship. Both these guys were back out in Bristol competing for their Pro Spec license. I believe Trevor Root was awarded his Pro Spec license standing on the box. I know for a fact that Alan Boss was over there standing on the podium as well. These guys are not strangers to themselves or their driving. So these guys are definitely ready to throw down here at day 2 of the doubleheader weekend at Raceway Park, the Gambler. Alan Boss's 350Z back there in the bark box, warming up his tires, getting a little bit of heat in those rears, scrubbing out those fronts, making sure that the thing feels mechanically good. And it looks like his confidence is going to pull into that chase position where Trevor Root's already waiting on the line. Root sitting in that lead position needs to navigate past our drag tree through the chicane, where Alan Boss's job is to put it right on his door immediately. Our drivers have to go down the straight here down the road course and initiate at the 3rd green cone. None of our drivers had listened to that and initiate well before that as our lights are illuminating on our drag tree. And green is go as both drivers lead through. Trevor Root's going to take the lead. Trevor Root initiates going into outside zone number 1. Alan Boss putting the pressure on early, getting the pressure on before they're even in outside zone number 1. Alan Boss is right where he needs to be as both drivers transition up outside 2. Trevor Root giving plenty of real estate for Alan Boss to play in, and Alan Boss is using it. All the way down to outside 3 as Alan Boss gives him a little rotation through that front inner clip. Both drivers work their way into outside 4. Alan Boss right back in before the start of the zone as Trevor Root's doing a great job. Boss right to the back bumper. Trevor Root as they go through the hairpin here. Both drivers showing a ton of control. Going over the reference point here. Boss gives him a little bit of room, and he's looking to bite as they work their way into outside zone 5. And Boss touches the wall, rides out the wall. It looks like Boss drove that off with some skill set. I think Boss saved that car, and that is phenomenal.
Oh, no. Well, let me tell you, what a run. Gosh, sometimes I have to check the fact that I'm a fan of drifting so I can commentate on it, but that was textbook how you want to chase on Boss's side. Trevor Root is a phenomenal lead driver. He's got that super consistent wide line that you want to see. Makes it really easy to chase and get on his door, and Alan Boss is taking full advantage of that. Unfortunately, we're going to get to see on the replay here right where it went wrong. I don't know what happened. Maybe Boss thrown in a little too deep, catching the wall. And unfortunately, the judges are going to have to take a look at that, whether that's a straighten on his chase run.
I want to give kudos to Alan Boss here because he jumped in from the get-go early and aggressive. I am here for it. You can even see it when he gets all the way through here, all the way down to our hairpin. He jumped before Root did, realized he was too close, paused, and tried to bite back at him. And I think that threw off his groove going into the bank wall there, which may have messed up his timing. But Boss kept it together. You can see him avoiding contact with Root's back bumper there, jumped right back into position. That 350Z is a rocket ship. He made a sacrifice here to jump back where he wanted to be, and it was just maybe a little too deep, and it was a phenomenal lap. Alan Boss has returned to the pit. It looks like he's going to take his competition 5 timeout to look over the car and make sure it's ready for the second half of this battle. But Trevor Root doing a phenomenal job in the lead position, giving the real estate for Alan Boss to work. Definitely excited for the second half of that battle.
Me too. Unfortunately, that small error in that last outer zone. Boss is going to take his 5-minute timeout to check over his car. So we're going to move on to our next battle in the meantime. You hate to see it, Mike. Unfortunately, that's a bad little cap on an otherwise phenomenal run.
Honestly, as much as we hate to see it, because I want to see Alan Boss go, I want to see the second half of this battle already. So I don't want to see him go down. But you get that on those big jobs. He is pushing. And that's the type of mistakes that you get when guys are pushing. So I'm here for it. Unfortunately for Alan Boss, he's got a little bit of work to do to check it over. But that is the type of mistakes we're here for.
And personally, I would rather him take a look at his car from the impact, make sure nothing is wrong, so we can have another phenomenal battle here so we don't have any errors when he takes his lead run. So, I would take my 5 minutes. I think that's a smart call on his part.
Definitely. There's a mental game that's being played out here in drifting competition as well. It's not just the mechanical. You need to have that machine tip-top at all times so it can do what you're being asked of it in split-second decisions. But also, there's a mental confidence that comes with that pairing.
The battle's got me all excited. I don't know if I can sit still now. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, we got Tyler Foley back up on the line, and he's going to go take on Mike Knapp. We're back on the left side of the bracket. Tyler Foley positioned with that V8 E36 gives plenty of clean real estate to work with, and Mike Knapp is no stranger to being aggressive.
Yep, Tyler Foley, our #1 qualifier here, who definitely earned his spot in the qualifying order, and Mike Knapp, who battled his way in 2 battles to be here. So we got 2 serious competitors. Here we go.
And Tyler Foley initiates well before our last initiation point. Is Mike Knapp trying to put the pressure on now. Mike biting a little early, is falling back into position now as Foley's nice and deep through outside zone #1. Mike Knapp not fall behind him, giving him a little bit of car length, trying to keep himself in the right position behind Foley's BMW. Mike a little bit of a bobble going to outside 3 as both drivers transition up to the inside clip. Foley doing a good job, a little bit of a break into the outside 4, setting the car up nice as Mike Knapp trying to put the pressure in as they rotate their way into that hairpin outside zone #5. 4. Both drivers doing a great job through the hairpin. Foley giving plenty of real estate for Mike to play with. Mike taking a very conservative car length back, but a very poised position, making his move there up into the bank wall, falling into line. Tyler Foley and Mike Knapp finishing off super strong.
The crowd is loving that run. That was a great lead run, super aggressive, but still very followable run by Tyler Foley. Mike Knapp taking full advantage of his consistency to get as close as he can to Tyler Foley's E36. He is keeping up in that 1J car, even though Tyler Foley has a pretty aggressive V8 under the hood. All in all, a great battle. That's going to be a tough one. We're going to have to flip him around and watch him go again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the second half of this battle where Mike Knapp is now responsible for getting the lead to Tyler Foley. Foley and I have tons of laps over on the stadium. We've been partying at a multitude of events, and it's always a pleasure to drive with this guy. Super fluid. Mike Knapp, me and Mike have stolen some laps here on the road course, and Mike is always ready for a party. So in the lead position, Mike knows what he's being asked of. Hopefully that differential in that car, the differential #2, stays in it. We're waiting for our second half of the battle here of Mike Knapp piloting that black S13 hatch, going up against Tyler Foley in that orange BMW. With the green light illuminated, the second half of this battle is underway. Mike Knapp working his way through that chicane as Tyler Foley falls in behind that S13 as both drivers work their way into the outside zone #1. Foley diving into the inside, not a judge zone, and falls right into the position into outside zone #1. Mike Knapp giving him the drive as Foley's utilizing it, transitions back up to outside 2. Knapp doing a great job, super deep and too deep going into outside 3. Foley avoiding contact, and now these guys are going to be putting on a show for the crowd. So make sure you make a ton of noise for Mike Knapp and Tyler Foley as they come blazing past the bleachers here at Raceway Park, the Gambler. Both these boys finishing off super strong across the finish line. Unfortunate turn of events for Mike Knapp after replacing 2 differentials, a limited amount of time on track to really dial in his machine. Unfortunately, those turn of events is going to give the win to Tyler Foley. You can see Foley here doing a phenomenal job operating through outside zone 1, transitioning up to outside 2, doing exactly what was necessary in the judge's eye to give the real estate to Mike Knapp to play with. Unfortunately, Mike Knapp just shoving a little too far going down the hill there and just wasting it away. Definitely a rough weekend for Mike Knapp after 2 differential changes and a loss here to Foley. But Foley being our #1 qualifier, it's definitely not outrageous for it to be had. Foley has been locked in all weekend. Unfortunate for Mike Knapp. After the mechanical errors, just maybe wasn't able to put together the car and machine and all the right recipe with a short amount of time allotted. But a major kudos for getting that car fixed twice this weekend. As our drone floats over our back of our grid where our drivers are poised and ready for battle, you can see Chris Stevens' coupe with the trunk removed. Smart man. He's not taking any more chances here. This man was not happy with that call. But unfortunately, rules are rules, and he said, all right, I'm going to remove it.
Hey, it's not going to open. That's a tough call, but it is a rule. You can't have anything that latches open. It's for safety. It's a bummer that that's what's going to give him a 0, but in the future, I'm sure he's going to remember that, and we're not going to see that happen again from him.
Yeah, unfortunately, a panel coming off, especially a trunk opening or even a door, is very detrimental to a chase driver that has no idea what's going on. And when the body of the car starts to move in things in ways that physics doesn't make sense, you see the back of a car start going up, you're going to get concerned. So it's definitely not a fair vantage point. It's also a safety risk. So he took it off, and now it's not a worry. So he had the most qualifying points with a 97.
He did.
But unfortunately, due to the trunk, lost his opportunity there.
Well, now it's an opportunity to channel that frustration into some really great battles. So far, I definitely think we've seen it from him against Tyler Hess. He was out for blood for sure. He's going to have to beat our #1 qualifier, Tyler Foley. But given Steven's scores between yesterday and today, it's anyone's game.
All these guys standing in our Final Four are heavy hitters, and we still have to work our way to the right side of the bracket where we're going to decide who's going to take on the other side. Foley and Stevens are sitting there. Stevens with some Let It Ride tokens thanks to South Bay Fuel Injectors and Drift HQ. As we roll into the right side of the bracket, Chris Knapp Chris Knapp to battle it out with Jimmy Revert. Jimmy taking that lead position in that S13 hatch. Chris Knapp to chase in the IS300.
Jimmy Revert has the Freedom Motorsports token. I believe he's going to let it ride in this battle, but Chris Knapp, with his own East Coast Drift School token, he is not going to let it ride. The first driver of the weekend.
I think he's the first driver ever to not let it ride. So we're going to have to give him some crap for that as both drivers work their way down the straight. Jimmy initiates. Chris Knapp in that IS300 trying to dive right behind him. Set up early before these guys even get to our first judge criteria zone is outside 1. Chris Knapp starting to put the pressure on Nod. Dives to the inside. He's really going to have to drive that off as Jimmy's putting it into outside 2. Chris Knapp trying to fall back into position into outside 3. And it looks like both drivers having a little bit of a hiccup there. Both drivers working their way to that front ender clip. See if they can finish off the last half of this lap strong as Jimmy just misses outside 4. Chris Knapp driving those Valinos hard into outside 3. Right to the side of Jimmy Revert's hatch. Those Valinos definitely giving a drive on that IS300 as both drivers transition back up to the bank. Giving a little bit of space from Chris, driving back to the side of Jimmy Revert's S13.
That was an interesting one. The crowd is certainly loving it. That was a great chase by Chris Knapp. Unfortunately, 1 or 2 errors in the chase position, but Jimmy did have 1 or 2 errors in the lead position as well. You can see the replay here. The drivers coming down in outer zone 2 to outer zone 3. This was the biggest problem spot on the track. Both drivers just missing that zone, and then Chris falling back in the chase. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're allergic to that part of the track or what's going on, but they do clean it up coming into outer zone number 5, the hairpin. Chris is right on the door of Jimmy Revert, coming in across that reference point and into that final outer zone. They're both super, super high on the bank, which is what we want to see. Chris diving down to get closer to Jimmy as they come across the line.
Both these drivers doing a great job throughout the weekend here. This lap from Jimmy, you can see he had a little bit of his quirks going into outside 3, as Sarah was saying, a little bit of a bobble. But Chris looked like he had a few of corrections on his own accord. So we're going to have to lean on the judges here. And this is one of those reasons why I'm glad I'm not a judge and I get to just talking to the talkie stick. Because it's way easier over here calling the action over with Sarah on this side, and instead of having to deal with calls like that, because it's not fun.
You got it. I'll commentate on drifting all day long. Commentate? Is that the one? Anyway, I'll tell my opinion for anyone who will listen. But when it comes down to deciding such important things as what driver gets to move on to the finals, that's a tough call for me.
It's definitely a hard job to be up here in the judges. There's a lot riding on it, especially with thousands of dollars on the line. Drifting being a judge, motorsports definitely has its quirks, but our judges are doing a great job with the combination of our live stream views to be able to make the best decisions they possibly can with the tools awarded.
And thanks to our drone pilot team, the drone cam angle does not lie.
No, we're definitely getting perspective here at the road course. That's not normal. This long course is showcasing what these drivers are capable of. Speaking of, getting to the second half of this battle as Chris Knapp initiates down to outside zone 1 with Jimmy and Chase. Chris Knapp doing a great job of filling into the outside zone, getting super deep through outside 1 as Jimmy's trying to keep the pace up with that IS-300 of Chris Knapp. Chris Knapp shoves down the hill here, going into outside 3 is Jimmy not far behind his IS-300. Both drivers transition up to that first inner clip. Jimmy taking an odd line, trying to make up that proximity, maybe sacrificing that front inner clip to make up for outside 4. Chris Knapp's IS-300 switch up, and Jimmy's slowly behind him, right behind the airpin, taking a slightly tighter line to keep that proximity as both drivers work their way to the reference point. Chris Knapp's IS-300 doing a great job up into the bank, nice and tight as Jimmy's trying to fall back into position as both drivers cross over the finish line.
What a run. Awesome run. Awesome lead run by Chris Knapp. Nearly flawless here. We're going to check out the replay. Coming in nice and wide, already pouring smoke as he gets into outer zone number 1. Maybe even a little too deep there, but, you know, that's exactly the line I want to see them on. Fully fills outer zone number 2. Just as deep enough in outer zone number 3 to get those points. Across the inner clip, Jimmy does hit that, as Mike Perez said, you know, a compromise for trying to stay close to Chris Knapp. He stays relatively close for this entire lap in the chase position, but Chris Knapp is putting down an absolute heater of a lead run. Maybe only 1 or 2 errors in that lead position. So this is going to be a tough one for the judges. It's almost like those 2 runs were 2 completely different battles.
It's crazy to see Chris Knapp manipulate that IS-300. You can see it in his chase run, the amount of bite he's getting out of those Velinos and the mechanical setup he has in that IS-300 behind Jimmy's car. Jimmy's car has been doing a great job, phenomenal job through the weekend, but you can really see in his chase position where he struggles to keep the pace and the angle match of Chris Knapp's IS-300.
The judges are taking a look at the side-by-side that you guys are seeing at home, really picking apart this run. And the verdict is in. Chris Knapp is going to get the win. Chris Knapp. Unfortunately, the judges finding a critical error on Jimmy's part, allowing Chris Knapp to capitalize on that and get the win.
We have our next 2 bracketed drivers on the line, ready for battle. This is the second half of this battle after Boss has taken his competition 5 timeout. Obviously, Boss and his team and crew has got the car back up, checked it over after that little mishap at the end of their lap with Trevor Root. Root in that E36 sitting right next to him with that LSA supercharged V8 under the hood has been dialed throughout the weekend, already standing on top of the box yesterday with thousands of dollars in his pocket. He already has a bunch of confidence, but I know Alan Boss is confident behind him. Alan Boss is going to take that lead position first, and Trevor's the chase. Boss taking that Yeet Fleet 350Z down into the straightaway as both drivers initiate into outside 1. Root trying to clean up and bite in heavy as Boss is so deep into outside 1, drives it into the grass as Root's going to finish off his lap here. Definitely not what you wanted to see out of Boss, but he didn't put it in the wall.
That is true. Unfortunately, I think from the last lap where he did put it in the wall, maybe he had a little bit more damage than originally he thought, unfortunately, because when he threw it in there nice and aggressive, it just said absolutely not and sent him off into the grass.
As Trevor Root finishes off his lap here, blazing past the judges' tower, he's going to have to ride that energy out over the finish line and into the next bracket where he'll have to battle out Chris Knapp, who just took his win in the previous battle. It's an unfortunate turn of event, but definitely the aggression that I love to watch Alan Boss in his 350Z. This thing is a machine, and he drives it with more and more aggression every time I see him drive. So, unfortunately, just a little too much sauce going into the outside. maybe a mechanical error, but he put it in the grass.
You know, he is a contender. I'd love to see him out at some more gamblers because I really want to see what this kid can do. I feel like with a few more chances, he could easily be on the podium here at the Gambler.
Yeah, Allen's had a rough time at a couple gamblers. Over in the stadium, he has put the tails, the front, into the wall over there. He got clipped out by Nick D'Alessio, Nick Delicious. Tight tandems, tight bumper to bumper, and unfortunately Nick just caught him in the wrong spot and put him into outer 2 over in the stadium, and that carbon fiber 350Z saw a little bit of damage, but you couldn't even tell by him competing out here today. I mean, I couldn't see the other side of the car from this live stream until it's already covered in dirt, but it looked like the wall didn't treat it bad either.
Yeah, you know, visually it looks all right, but sometimes those small damages that are lurking underneath the surface are what makes the car just not feel like it should, not really behave how you're used to, and that's when you're throwing it in there, giving it all she's got. Those gremlins come back to haunt you, and unfortunately, it looks like he couldn't keep it at angle. So that it is a sad turnout. But Trevor Root is going to move on to face Chris Knapp in the Final Four. But before we get to that battle, we have Tyler Foley, our #1 qualifier, against Chris Stevens, who, if not for the 0, would have been our #1. So this is a bit of a grudge match, huh?
I think Stevens definitely wants to take a win here and really staple his performance in qualifying going up against Foley. Essentially, this is almost like if it was like your 1 and 2 qualifiers going up to battle already.
True.
Now, we are in the Final Four, so it's just 4 men last standing here. But Stevens is carrying an energy with a ton of Let It Ride tokens thanks to South Bay Fuel Injectors and Drift HQ. Tyler Foley looking to steal them now. Trevor Root also double his Flipsco Let It Ride token. And Chris Knapp stealing that Freedom Motorsports and putting that East Coast Drift School money in his pocket.
Back in his pocket.
Back in his pocket. And here we go. The first half of this battle here. Tyler Foley taking on Chris Stevens. Both drivers click in well into before outside zone #1. Foley gets into his zone a little deep, but Stevens right there on the side of the BMW as Foley. Both drivers stand on it to clean up that little bit of a bobble into outside 1 as both drivers run down the hill into outside 3. Foley giving the drive to Stevens. Stevens doing a great job staying right behind the BMW, mimicking the transitions as they worked away into outside 4. Stevens standing on the left brake to get into position, biting right on the side of Foley. Foley floats up, and Chris Stevens all made contact with the rear bumper, giving a little bit of room, rotates back into position as Foley locks into outside 4. Both drivers come out of that hairpin, cross down to the reference point, float back up where Foley nice and aggressive on the side, and Stevens right behind him.
What a run. Give it up for our 2 drivers, Tyler Foley and Chris Stevens. The crowd is loving that battle. Chris the entire time was directly on Foley's door. Unfortunately, I think Foley overcooked it just a tiny little bit into that first outer zone. Looks like 2 tires off. Our judges are definitely going to take a look at that. But otherwise, the rest of the run looks amazing. But Chris Stevens is directly on his door. Again, like you said, Mike, having to lock it up to not hit him going to that outer zone #4. What a wild ride. You can tell he's mad.
You can see Stevens making conscious decisions to be somewhere he shouldn't be. The transitions here are the moneymaker.
They are crispy, indeed.
He is getting on the back bumper almost before or with the same momentum as Foley as they transition through the course here on the road course. Stevens shown a ton of aggression. I would even almost love to see them do that lap 3 or 4 times in a row and really lock in, because Stevens jumped out cold-footed. He had no idea what Foley's going to do, and he's pushing that type of aggression.
For sure. We should check Foley's bumper for some red paint, honestly. That transition from 4 to 5, 5 to 6.
I don't know. There's 7 of them out here now. But our second half of the battle with Foley sitting in the chase position going up against Stevens. All right, it looks like our lights are illuminating on our drag tree here for the second half of this battle with essentially both your #1 qualifiers. Chris Stevens with a 97 in qualifying. Unfortunately, a technicality putting him back on the bottom, which now he's facing Tyler Foley, our #1 qualifier. Both drivers initiate into outside 1. Chris Stevens with a ton of angle. Foley's already matching his angle going into outside 1. Stevens doing a great job filling outside 1, and Foley's not far behind him in that BMW. That truck engine trying to put them on the side of Yes13. Stevens doing a great job filling outside 2 and starting to step on the throttle now. They're driving into outside 3. Foley trying to keep up with the pace of that coupe going through the front inner clip as both drivers work their way into outside 4. Foley's keeping the pressure on, and Stevens is driving into outside 4. Full on throttle, and Foley's right there. Both drivers transition up the hairpin. Foley makes his move now, trying to show some aggression through the hairpin here, right in front of the judges' tower and across our reference point. Stevens standing on that limiter. Foley giving it back into the smoke line, jumps back back into the last zone. A little bit of a dive for proximity. Give it up for both of these drivers.
Woo-wee! You know, the judges absolutely cannot dock either of these drivers for throttle commitment. You know they are absolutely planted in the throttle when you can't even see the zone through the smoke.
It is definitely a slight curveball. Watching these guys rip the tires off through outside one and that smoke trail over to the hairpin when they meet the other side of the course. Chris Stevens with a phenomenal throw into outside 2 and drove that thing down to outside 3. Foley doing a good job following, trying to keep pace with it. But both those drivers showcasing why they were essentially both our number 1 qualifier. And we do have a winner here. And you can see with that little show of aggression, Chris Stevens gets the win, taking out Tyler Foley, our number 1 qualifier. Chris Stevens gets the win.
And Chris Stevens doubling that South Bay Fuel Injectors token and tripling the Drift HQ token as he goes into the finals. Those will now lock in place at their value. We just have to run one more battle to see where everyone's going to end up between Trevor Root and Chris Knapp and what tokens they will still have.
Foley doing a phenomenal job throughout the weekend, already standing on the podium box yesterday with that BMW. Unfortunately, getting into the Final Fours, going up against Stevens, just a little enough. Stevens literally drove. That was a battle.
Yeah, he had something to prove today. Now, Foley's not ruled out. We're going to still do a third-place battle. So the loser of the next battle between Trevor Root and Chris Knapp will go up against Tyler Foley. So Tyler can still get on the podium in that third-place spot if he wins that next battle.
Chris Stevens also doubling and tripling his Let It Ride tokens. Those South Bay Fuel Injector Let It Ride token now double the value for Stevens locking into the final round. Also, a triple value Drift HQ Let It Ride token. Stevens sitting with a couple of extra $100 in his pocket going into the finals and waiting for the verdict of the next battle of Root versus Knapp. Both these guys also holding multiple valued Let It Ride tokens, so this last battle could have money on the line. Never mind the big checks we give them on the box. Stay tuned as we gather our drivers, let them swap some tires around. A big shout out to our event sponsors that help make the Gambler Series happen. And we'll be right back to day 2 of the doubleheader weekend here at Raceway Park, the Gambler. All right, we got Trevor Root locking himself into the burnout box, warming up his tires. Trevor Root will lead first, going up against Chris Knapp in his IS300.
Our drone pilot's giving us a little bit of what the drivers see, how they see the track, how they see the entry. Zoom in around that first outer zone. Let's see if they continue down the track and tap each zone and really give us a bird's eye view of every spot. There's outer zone number 2, a little bit of downhill slowdown action into outer zone number 3. Now the drivers will have to switch back across that inner clip. And here's a big one, outer zone number 4. If you don't set your car up properly for this outer zone, you're messing it up, you're losing points. And then the big slowdown into outer zone number 5 for the hairpin. Now, although the drivers have to bring their speed down, we don't want to see them bobble. We want to see them remain fluid, remain smooth going into that zone. Across the reference point, and now absolutely flat out into that last bank zone of outer zone number 6.
You can really see the slight elevation changes here on the road course at Raceway Park that is not visible from the overhead drones. And you can see Trevor Root taking that lead position now the first half of this Final Four battle against Chris Knapp to chase in that IS300. Trevor Root clicks in well before that last initiation point, working their way into outside 1. Root gets in nice and early. Chris Knapp trying to bite back now, trying to follow back and mimic the angle. Both drivers transition up the outside 2. Root doing a great job, rotating that BMW, a little left foot brake to get the position back for outside 3, and Chris Knapp biting at the doors of Trevor Root. Both drivers pace their way through that front inner clip. Chris giving him a little bit of room to work with. Chris taking a tighter line as Root fills in outside 4. Both drivers transition up to the hairpin. Chris Knapp falls back into position now as Root's giving him the drive through outside 5. Both drivers go down through the reference point. Back up to our final outside zone here. Root doing a great job keeping the taillight right on the wall there as Chris Knapp's right behind him, dragging that front wheel.
Them's the finals, for sure. Great lead run by Trevor Root. You know, he keeps it consistent. He keeps it super easy to follow. And Chris Knapp just taking advantage of that super smooth lead run to put it right on Trevor Root's door. Trevor making sure to be precise and put his car in all of the zones, keeping his smooth line, not losing any momentum as he comes into outer zone number 4. Chris losing a little bit of proximity in that zone, but he's going to suck up right to his door in that hairpin outer zone number 5. Trevor Root staying smooth as he comes across the transition to throw it up in outer zone 6 of our bank turn, and Chris putting it right on his door. That's what we want to see.
Chris definitely playing in the extra real estate that Root's allowing him to have with that confidence and set angle. Root just dialed in.
We still need to flip him around and let Chris Knapp lead and Trevor Root chase. The battle is not over yet.
Yeah, we're waiting for our drivers to parade back around the road course here. They are able to utilize the back half of the road course here, the back course, if you will, to cool the chassis and their cars down. Chris Knapp showcasing that he's more incapable of keeping up with Root's BMW, and now they have to switch positions where Root will have to showcase that he's capable of mimicking the IS300 of Chris Knapp. You can see here from the drone that one and only front inner clip set up in the line choice that the judges want on our road course here at Raceway Park. All right, it looks like our drivers are ready. The lights are illuminating. Yellow is on. And here we go. Second half of the battle is Chris Knapp, and that IS300 takes the lead. Trevor Root to chase. Chris Knapp clicks in and initiates well before that last initiation point as both drivers starting to put the pressure in well before even a judge zone. Chris Knapp locks into outside zone 1 nice and early. Nice confident drive throughout the entirety of that zone as Trevor Root's trying to hold the proximity to the side of the IS300 to Chris Knapp. Chris Knapp a little bit of a bobble. Both drivers manipulate themselves and go and set up for the front inside clip. Knapp trying to drive away from that E36 to Trevor Root. Both drivers work their way into outside 4. Knapp missing outside 4, but Trevor Root right to the side of that IS300 to Chris Knapp as both drivers work their way into the hairpin now. Chris Knapp, a lot of throttle aggression leaving the hairpin, but Root's not far behind him. Root transition mimicking the IS as both drivers throw up into the bank. Root doing a phenomenal chase right to the side of Chris Knapp and across the finish line.
Damn, am I crazy or were those two runs almost identical with each other? They both put on a super smooth lead, a nice close chase on his door in the bank.
Root definitely showcasing the driver inputs here, and you can see on the side-by-side, these guys are almost identical going into outside 1. You can, like Sarah said, Chris and Root both made sacrifices there to get themselves into position. Both threw themselves into outside 2 very aggressively and drove down and just slightly clicking into outside 3. Both drivers doing a fantastic job through the center section, and the side-by-side here into 4, you can see Knapp just not getting as deep as Root into outside 4, and as they transition up. That drone shot, you can really see the line choices there. Really changes the timing of transition going into that last hairpin going over the reference point and back into the bank, but these boys were ready to party at this point, just locking into each other over the finish line.
Yeah, the judges are going to be splitting hairs on this one. It's good that we have the side-by-side replay so we can see each car. I mean, I think the drivers did a great job. They're really evenly paired here. Great lead driver, great chase driver. I mean, these guys are so even. It's hard to tell.
I mean, I'm not a judge, and as we said before, no desire to be. But if this was me, I'd want to see these guys battle it out.
Ooh.
Without going into the details, I want to see a one more time battle. That's just me. These guys have been ripping. Chris is really dialing in his machine over the last couple weeks. They were both in Bristol competing for pro spec license. Like, these guys have been throwing down, and I would like to see a dialed off lap with both of them.
And you know what? We haven't had a one more time battle at this Gambler doubleheader between yesterday and today. This could be our one and only. And, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing these guys go again. What about the fans? What do you guys think? You want to see them run one more time? All right. I think we want to see it one more time. But unfortunately, we are not judges. So we will have to see what they say.
Our panel of judges are deliberating over this right now. Kenrick Meyer, Ricky Hoffman, and Reese Marin, our panel of judges for these rounds of the doubleheader weekend. These guys are going and reviewing the same side-by-side footage that you guys are seeing at home on the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys for joining us on the live stream. If you haven't already, tag your favorite driver, let them know that you've given them the support, and also wander through social channels and give our sponsors some love. Let them know that you heard them from the Gambler.
You got it. Now, the one thing that comes into account, the drivers might not have tires for a one more time battle.
All right, and it looks like we have a verdict, a split
like we have
decision.
a verdict.
After a long deliberation through the judges, we have a verdict. Sarah, why don't you do it? You like delivering the news.
Well, they won't need any more tires because Trevor Root gets the win. Trevor Root gets the win.
Definitely a hard-fought battle here, splitting hairs. Our judges, one of them one more time, but a split decision throughout it. And Root, unfortunately, just checking off just a tiny bit more than Knapp.
Right.
I'm not a judge, but I think Knapp's little error going into outside 4 really just shook the cage.
The judges, after talking to them, they definitely came down to splitting hairs between these two runs. They both were absolutely phenomenal, but they just felt that Trevor Root did a slightly better job in the lead, so that he earned the win on that front.
Fun laps nonetheless between Chris Knapp and Trevor Root, but that also means that Trevor Root is stealing that Freedom Motorsports Let It Ride token. That also means he's tripling the value of that Flipsco token that he already had. Now rolling into our final battle here between Chris Stevens and Trevor Root. There is Chris Knapp pocketed that East Coast Drift School Let It Ride token. The remaining 4 Let It Ride tokens are now in the finals. Chris Stevens hanging on to a double-valued South Bay Fuel Injectors Let It Ride token, also paired with a triple-value Drift HQ Let It Ride token. And on the other side, Trevor Root hanging on to a triple-value Flipsco token and that Freedom Motorsports Let It Ride token. A big shout-out to our Let It Ride sponsors with throwing an extra little taste of advice for our drivers, giving them an extra opportunity to bring home some extra cash, irregardless if they take home some wins here.
You're right. I like these side bets because not only do you get the winnings, you get the money for landing on the podium, but you have these tokens as well. So you get a little extra money, a little bit more fun to have these side bets. Now, we didn't have a last man standing today. Maybe everyone's pockets were feeling a little bit light, but yesterday we did have a last man standing. So that's 3 different chances to win a bunch of money. That's why I love the gambler.
I mean, Root was taking the energy from yesterday, standing on top of the box. I think he was one of the few guys that was like, yeah, I got it. Let's do it. I'm in.
Was.
So basically, I think Root basically won today's last man standing.
I would say in spirit he did win against himself.
We're not giving you your money back, Root, though. That's for tease.
No.
All right, we're waiting for our drivers to get locked in for our final battle. Root just seeing battle with Chris Knapp, giving a little bit of time to look over his machine and swap some tire under. I know Chris Stevens is out there on grid, locked and loaded, trunkless, ready to steal some money out of Trevor Root.
He got his bottoms off. He's ready. No trunk for him. Well, we're actually going to need to run our 3rd place battle first. Tyler Foley is going to take on Chris Knapp. Like you said, Mike, we're going to give Knapp a few minutes to change his tires if he has any left. And then he's going to have to come up and battle Tyler Foley for 3rd. And then we will run our final battle to decide our winner here between Chris Stevens and Trevor Root.
Thank you guys for joining us here in person at Raceway Park. This would be a great time to grab some snacks from the grease truck or stop in the Sneaky Pete's and re-up that drink. Make sure you say hello to Nation. Make sure you tip your bartenders. There's also be a great time at home on the live stream for you guys to go around and tag your favorite drivers. Let them know that you're out there supporting them, watching them on the live stream. Hype them up for the entire weekend. These guys have been out here the entire weekend throwing down, spending money, banging their cars up for the pure enjoyment of you guys here at Raceway Park and at home. So make sure you show your support for all these drivers out here, and a big hoorah for all these guys that are out of competition here today. They fought a hard battle, but 2 days of comp on a doubleheader weekend is a long one.
That's rough, but they did a great job. Definitely throw some comments in the live stream. Who do you think is going to win this final battle? Who do you think is going to come in 3rd? Just comment your favorite. Maybe they already got knocked out. You just want to give them a shout out. Let's hear it.
I'm just waiting for Fable to get in there and start talking about SR20s. As always, a massive thank you to our event sponsors for helping make this Gambler Series happen. These guys have been competing all year long for series points and the individual prizes awarded at each round. this weekend. We've had a doubleheader weekend where day one, Trevor Root standing on top of the box, taking home that big $4,000 check. And today, Root standing in the finals again, going up against Chris Stevens.
We got some Mike Knapp fans in the comments on Facebook. We also have some Tyler Foley fans.
Big Tyler Foley
Big
fan.
Tyler Foley guys. We got a bunch of them in attendance here today. You can tell by all the orange they have on.
Well, I know for a fact that Max Kimlin is the biggest Foley fan I've ever met. I'm pretty sure that guy has their entire line of merch at this point.
I heard he's going to shave his hair into an orange mohawk. He loves Tyler Foley so much.
I'm here for it. And a big shout to everybody else that's not attending with us here this weekend because of other obligations. You guys are missing out on a phenomenal event here at the Gambler. So for you guys at home, a big shout, a big look into the judges' tower, the bleachers as we wait for our drivers of our final battle here. Make sure you can see Ricky Hoffman in there. He's the guy in the middle on the judges' side over there. You see him? Yeah, Ricky Hoffman, that guy sucks. As always, thank you guys for joining us on the internet. We appreciate you guys. We also appreciate our drone guys flying those things out there and making sure that we're seeing as much crazy stuff as we possibly can throughout the Gambler weekend here.
We're not done. I believe there's a few more gamblers this year. So if watching this live stream at home or in person is really, getting your jollies off, then go ahead and grab your car. As long as you pass tech, you can come out and see if you can hang with these drivers at the next Gambler.
I mean, it's just a showcase with Jake Paris out here with a 200 horsepower stock bump stop 240SX going up against drivers like Alan Boss, who has a weapon of a machine. There is a full spectrum of drivers out here. They are obligated to be on a 255 tire for this season, and unfortunately, they cannot have a FD Pro certified car, which kept the field pretty mundane. But there's still some guys out here with some wild builds, and I know for a fact there's a couple guys with some winter builds going on, with some plans next year to come out with some absolute weapons. So I'm looking forward to the future events for the rest of the year, never mind next year.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited. And you don't have to run that 255. Jake Parrish, we keep using him as an example because he has probably the stockest car we've seen so far. He's only on a 205. And he's still out here laying down a line, giving everybody a run for their money.
They 15s, but he keep them clean, though.
Ooh-wee, do he.
He was claiming in the drivers' meeting he had he's one of the only drivers out here with the same horsepower as tire size with a 205 out of a little SR.
I believe I said 200 is wishful thinking, but
it is.
We'll let him wish.
He's, you can't tell a girl you got 205 horsepower or 180. You just got to church it up a little bit.
For sure, for sure.
All right, it looks like our drivers are warming up their tires now as Chris Knapp's back in the bark box with that IS300, leaving now and getting locked into that chase position going up against Tyler Foley. Tyler Foley piloting that orange BMW, that 5.3 truck engine underneath the hood.
Woo woo. Big iron block boys here in the judges' tower. And by boys, I mean me.
Yeah, I'm an aluminum, right? This is luxury over here, 5.3 liters of aluminum. Tyler Foley, I believe, is an iron block going up against Chris Knapp's IS300, sporting a 2JZ.
Here we go. The lights are on. Green means go. We'll get started on this third place battle with Tyler Foley leading and Chris Knapp giving chase. Tyler Foley with his signature big aggressive entry there, getting out to that first outer zone. Chris Knapp right on his door, not letting him get away. Small correction there in the chase position as Tyler Foley throws it into that second outer zone. Moving down the hill to the third outer zone. Maybe it's a little wide there, but that's all right as he comes around that first inner clip. Coming into the tough fourth outer zone, and Chris Knapp is right on his door, but falls back just slightly as they come into the fifth outer zone of the hairpin. Chris Knapp using that to his advantage to catch up to Tyler Foley's drift machine. Coming across that reference point for our judges and up into that sixth and final outer zone. Tyler Foley in the wall and Chris Knapp on his door. Is this the finals?
Not just third place battle, and you can really see Chris Knapp trying to really drive that car with those Valinos with some aggression. Foley giving him a great lead to chase through, and you can see Knapp trying to make some decisions here to really showcase the aggression in the chase position. Foley unwavered, trying to work his way through the road course here at Raceway Park, doing a great job, giving the real estate for Chris to get super aggressive. Chris's IS300 unfortunately falling out of lines on multiple points through the track, but Foley is dialed throughout with that E36 V8 powered, working his way through Raceway Park's the road course here at the Gambler.
And a special treat, we have another battle. We're going to switch them around, and Chris Knapp is going to lead, and Tyler Foley will chase. The lights are on. Let's go.
And Chris Knapp taking that lead position, wiggling through the chicane as Foley's trying to fall in position behind the IS-300. Knapp initiates well before the last initiation point, and Foley, not even a hesitation right behind him. Chris Knapp trying to drive into outside zone 1 as Foley's trying to fall back, matching the angle of the IS-300 as he peels out of outside 1. Both drivers transition up to outside 2. Chris Knapp doing a great job. Tons of tire smoke coming off of those Valino tires as he works that IS-300 through that outside zone 3. Foley falls back in the smoke line a little bit of a pace match differential here as Chris Knapp's doing a great job in the outside 4. Foley's trying to keep up with that IS-300. They work their way into the hairpin here. Chris Knapp doing a nice fluid transition out of the hairpin, over that reference point and up to the bank. Foley drives them through a little shallow, starts to fall in and mimic now across the finish line.
Wow, these drivers are on a mission today. I love it. I love to see these aggressive battles. We're definitely going to have to check out the replay. This was a super close one. We want to see that side by side, check out how each of these drivers did. We can see Chris Knapp, again, just as an aggressive entry as Tyler Foley. And in the chase position, both Tyler and Chris are right on the respective doors of their lead drivers. Coming around, picking up every zone. Tyler does fall back just slightly there in outer zone number 3, allowing Chris to pull away. But then Chris falls back in outer zone number 4, allowing Foley to pull away. So these guys are evenly matched, maybe 1 or 2 small errors on each of their parts. Both just absolutely pouring smoke as they come around out of outer zone number 5, up into the bank to leave it all on the line in outer zone number 6. Wow, great battle.
Yeah, it looks like the IS-300 Chris Knapp's just trying to bark down the door handles of Tyler Foley's BMW when he was in that chase position. A lot of surges and bites, and Foley just unwavered, just holds on to his fluidity. And Chris Knapp, you can see him getting better and better at that opportunity of trying to take that aggression in. Our judges are still deliberating over this battle, and you guys at home on the live stream can see this side by side where Tyler Foley in that orange BMW is doing a great job in his lead, and Chris Knapp doing a damn good job in the lead as well, as both these drivers are battling it out for the 3rd place position here at day 2 of the doubleheader weekend at Raceway Park, the Gambler.
Judges taking a second to really get into this battle. This is going to determine who stands on our 3rd place spot on the podium, so this is important. The 3rd place driver will be in that prize money. They'll be able to hold on the big check, go ahead and celebrate, and the 4th place driver, he's heading home. No consolation prize, so this is an important decision the judges have to make.
And we do have a verdict. We do have a verdict. They got scared I was going to say it, though. We do have a verdict, and we'll pull those drivers down for our podium ceremony.
In just a moment, you guys are going to have to wait so we can announce those drivers. We're not going to say. We're going to announce our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place down on the podium. So you'll have to join us after this final battle. This is it, guys. The final battle to decide 1st and 2nd place between Chris Stevens and Trevor Root.
Both these guys sitting with a plethora of Let It Ride tokens with hundreds of dollars in value each. These guys have been battling it out through the entire weekend. Chris Stevens having a little bit of a bobble, a hiccup, a technicality in qualifying, holding on to the 97 #1 qualifying points. Unfortunately, Tyler Foley with that 96 was awarded that #1 qualifying due to that technicality. Stevens rode that energy all the way into the finals. Now handing off with a couple $100 Let It Ride tokens. He got to face off with Trevor Root in that supercharged V8 E36 BMW, who's also got a couple $100 extra. Both these guys already standing on the box. Let's see who's going to take the top spot as we get moments away from the first half of the battle here, the last battle of our doubleheader weekend. Chris Stevens back in that bark box, warming up his tires. You can see that 240SX coupe. This guy waxed the hood a couple of events ago, and the car looks phenomenal.
Maybe he should wax the trunk next time, and then it will stay closed.
No, it was the wax that's what made it so slippery. The latch slipped.
Oh, okay. All right. So easy on the wax there, good buddy. We're really rooting for you, and we're rooting for Trevor. Trevor already got on the top of the podium yesterday, so
Correct
you know,
me if
it's
I'm wrong.
anybody's
I'm pretty
game.
sure Steven was in that third place position as
He
well,
was.
taking out Steve Misko yesterday. So both these guys already with the big checks in their pocket. They're looking to take home a couple $1,000s extra right now in the final battle here, day 2 of the doubleheader weekend. The yellow
Away
lights
we
are
go.
illuminated green. Here we are. Trevor Root taking that lead position in that supercharged V8 E36 BMW, going up against Chris Stevens, who's right on the back bumper. Both drivers initiate well before going in. Chris Stevens making his presence known all the way deep. Follow locked in the position outside 1. A little bit of a mistake out of Stevens as Root rides out 1 without issues fluidly up into outside 2. As Stevens falls back into position now as both drivers work their way to outside 3. Root rotates Chris Stevens right on the back bumper of that BMW, starting to back down, trying to showcase that aggression as Root's giving him the drive here. Root's doing a fantastic job in the lead, but Stevens is right behind him, matching the transition into the hairpin. Both drivers doing a great job, and Stevens right back in, locked in, putting the pressure on, falls in the smoke. Now let's see if he can clean up that real estate. He drives back in the last outside zone, and Root putting on a textbook lax zone across the finish line.
Ooh-wee. I think that is the most aggressive we've seen both of these drivers drive this entire weekend. You can tell they know it's all on the line. Chris Stevens starting out really strong, but then unfortunately falling back slightly in that first outer zone. Trevor Root looking unshakable as usual as he comes down in that third outer zone, getting his tires right where they need to be, crossing across that inner clip, and coming in, absolutely zooming into that fourth outer zone, still filling it properly, looking absolutely settled, transitioning super close by Chris Stevens, going into that fifth outer zone of the hairpin. Geez, there might have been some contact there as they come across that reference point and going up into that sixth and final outer zone. Wow, phenomenal driving.
Chris Stevens definitely showcasing that aggression, making decisions to make him put himself into the danger zone. A couple times you can see him have to hesitate a little bit just because the real estate wasn't available to him yet. Trevor Root did a fantastic job in that lead position, but now our drivers are back up on the grid line behind that drag tree, swapped and ready to roll. We got Chris Stevens in that red S13 coupe sitting in that lead position, and now Trevor Root with the BMW to chase. Both drivers work their way down the straight here at Raceway Park. The second half, the final battle, makes some noise for both these drivers. They work their way into that first outside zone. Chris Stevens locks in early. Trevor Root right behind him. Both these drivers fluidly leaving outside 1 and transition up outside 2. Root matches the transition of Stevens, who is nice and deep in the outside 2 and drives down to outside 3. Root falling behind Stevens' S13 coupe as he's slamming down the rev limiter now going into outside 4. Both drivers doing a great job staying poised into outside 4. Root trying to put the pressure back on as both drivers transition up. Root jumps through the smoke line out to Stevens. Both drivers doing a fantastic job through the hairpin. Root making his presence known. Steven locking up the angle, going over that reference point. Root not far behind him. Root's going to try to make the aggression point now here. Put it right to the side of Stevens across the finish line. Make some noise for both these drivers here in your final battle of this doubleheader weekend at Raceway Park, the Gambler.
That was intense, everybody. That was insane. Great job by both drivers, both piloting those big V8 cars. We can see it side by side now with Stevens' lead. He's definitely very aggressive, same as Trevor Root. Trevor a little bit farther back, but more even, if that makes any sense. More consistent of a chase run compared to Stevens' small error in that first outer zone. But still staying super, super close. I think Stevens was a bit closer in this section in chase, but Trevor Root is not letting him get away. Both drivers absolutely pouring smoke as they come around to that fifth outer zone of the hairpin. Very, very close here. Stevens transitioning across that reference point and up into the bank, and Trevor Root, here's where he sucks right up to the side of Chris Stevens. Great job in chase right in that bank turn. Flawless.
I love the little bit of left foot brake manipulation out of Root's car. He is standing on that gas pedal and using that little bit of left foot brake to help rotate the car down the hill. You can see it here, a little trail from both drivers as they manipulate themselves down. Both these guys have been super dialed throughout the year, a ton of steering wheel time, and it's really showcasing here. These guys making some slight mistakes individually, and we'll have to weigh on our judges, but it looks like we do have a verdict. We are going to bring our drivers over to our podium ceremony. You guys at home on the live stream, we'll get you guys right up here on the action as you can chase in Trevor Root in that BMW. You can see him turning it into an airplane once again. A little bit of tug as Chris Stevens roasting him off back into the pits. Make sure you show your love and appreciation for all the drivers that have come out today. If you're at home on the live stream, hang tight. We'll fly a drone and our camera right into that podium ceremony, and we'll award our big checks to Day 2's doubleheader weekend right now.
All right, we have all of our drivers down near the podium. We're just going to take a second to tally all the prizes, get those big old checks ready for you guys, and we'll announce them in just a second.
On the live stream, thank you for joining us all week long for these 2 rounds of the Gambler on this doubleheader weekend. For all you guys joining us here at Raceway Park, thank you guys for hanging out with us with this beautiful weather here. A big shout to every single driver we had out here. They have been working their butts off all week, and them and their crew, to make sure that their machines were up and ready for battle. So a big thank you, a shout to all our drivers here at the Gambler.
Yeah, give it up to our track workers, our grid workers, our drone pilots, our drivers and crew. Great job this weekend putting on the very first double header. I think it was successful. What do you guys think?
All right, as we're waiting for big checks, why don't we bring over some of our drivers here. Hey guys, why don't you guys wander over here? I know you guys are congratulating on a good day, but come over here just for the way the microphone works. Let's get our last 4 drivers over to the boxes. Make some noise for our last 4 standing drivers of our Day 2 Gambler. Trevor Root, our winner from yesterday. You're back over here in the final 4. You're in the final battle. How are you feeling after an entire weekend of battling it out?
Pretty damn good. A lot of fun.
Do you have anybody out here that now become rival that you're looking for? Like, who was the most fun you had with your battle? Who's your most hated?
Dude, it's fun to drive with everyone out here. People named Chris have really bad luck, but no, I don't know. I hate Chris.
There is a lot of Chris's up here.
I don't know which one.
All right, Stevens, come over here. That's how the microphone works. Come here, pup. I just want to pet your dog. Our pseudo #1 qualifier today with a 97, beating out our 1 point off of Foley on a technicality. You rode that energy off really well today, taking the trunk off. Is there anything that like you kind of unlocked, or was it just kind of like, this is it, and this is what I'm doing today, and just really just you and the machine at this point?
I don't know. I thought the call was kind of lame in the qualifying, because who does it really hurt besides myself or anybody else? But I want to leave it in that way. So we said off, ratchet strap would have broken something.
Hey, it's a fair move. You definitely showcase that performance that you're more than capable of, and definitely something you want to take up with the judges, maybe a little arm wrestling going in at Sneaky Pete's. I think Ricky wants it. Give it to Ricky. Yeah, look at him. He could take it.
All right, you guys can fight after this. I think we have our check ready. Do we?
All right, we got our big checks ready to go. We have our results on our first. We'll announce our 3rd place winner.
Well, you want to announce? All right, let's announce 3rd place.
Third
Let's do
place
third.
winner. Our 3rd place winner between Tyler Foley and Chris Knapp. These guys are pulling it out. Our 3rd place winner being Tyler Foley in that orange BMW, taking out Chris Knapp.
Give it up, Team Foley. Get up on that podium.
Max Kimlin is so proud of you right now, Tyler.
Tyler's got 2 big checks this weekend. Great showing by Tyler. Great job by his team. Give it up.
Chris Knapp doing a phenomenal job throughout the weekend, really showcasing what that IS300 is capable of. But now moving on to that final battle between Chris Stevens and Trevor Root. Root already standing on top of the box yesterday. Stevens sitting on the bottom of the box yesterday. And the winner here on the 2nd day of the doubleheader weekend at Raceway Park, the Gambler. Make some noise for Trevor Root. Winning over here, standing on top of the box, but make sure that you do not get shy away from showing the love to Chris Stevens, who drove his heart out today, taking that #2 spot. And as always, make some noise for the rest of our drivers out here at the Gambler. These guys battled out all weekend, but these guys are taking home the big checks. Make some noise for your winner here, Trevor Root.
And one more time for the best mascot in drifting, the puppy.
Thank you guys for joining us here in person at Raceway Park as these guys take a shower in the champagne, celebrating their money and wins. We love to have you guys here at Raceway Park, and thank you guys for joining us on the internet, both on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you guys get signed up for the next round of The Gambler, racewaypark.com. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Mike Prez, and I'm joined by Sarah. Sarah.
What's up? We will see you next time.
As wander around, say thank you to all your track and your drivers today. Show your support, and we'll see you guys next time.